until you tell me to shut up. Say cut. And cut.
Hey, welcome to the Boopcast, episode 57. We are
What's
your
so
host,
funny?
SheNoob, and I'm backwards again.
Cory.
Damn it.
You are backwards again.
I'm
I was going to
backwards.
comment on that.
Hold on. Wait.
No, it doesn't show backwards to me. Oh, backwards and
Oh God, no!
Yeah,
You've done something
no.
totally
It
wrong.
fucking switches all the time because Skype is stupid. There we go. Alrighty. Ah! What did I do? Okay, guys,
God.
excuse me while I fix this disaster quickly.
Oh
Hi,
no!
welcome to the Boopcast, where nothing ever goes right, ever.
Ever.
I don't have the Twitch stream open, so I have no idea what's going wrong.
It's fine. Just
So
don't
I'm
look.
assuming
Just don't
everything's
look.
fine,
It's
and they're
fine,
just
I
playing
fixed
a
it.
trick on me.
Just don't look.
All right, great.
It's all good.
Cool.
This is episode 57, and we're your host, SheNoob, and...
Cory.
There we go, that's better. And joining us this week, we have the one and only, the incomparable Mr. Alex Abraham joining us, who's down there.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, so...
You're
we're-
too kind to me with your introduction,
we're-
but I'm trying not to make a big deal out of it. And by not making a big deal out of it, I'm gonna talk about it for like at least a minute. Okay, good. All right, I got it out of my system.
This
All right,
is
go
gonna
for it,
be
sorry.
a fun day. So we're half an hour late. Sorry. We're also disorganized. Sorry. Technical
What else is
difficulties.
new?
What else is new? It's a Sunday. There's no more Ruby. I'm sad. I don't give a shit anymore. Sorry.
I know. It was so weird waking up this morning, and I was like, I don't have to
Ruby.
get up and watch
There's
Ruby.
no Ruby.
Like, what do I do with my mornings
I know,
now?
what do I
I
do
just
with my life?
sit here.
What do I do with my life now? Exactly what I was doing before, which was nothing. So, we're going to talk about the finale today, because that was the thing. We've also got Alex here, so we're going to chat about the score and the soundtrack and whatnot and everything fun like that. So if you have any questions for Alex at any point, just chuck them in the chat or tweet them at us if we don't read the chat. At the Boopcast. The Twitter's here somewhere. Let me just... that one.
I'm guessing Boop Twitter. Yep.
There you go. And yeah, we will have a look at some questions. So anything score related, because for those of you who don't know, Alex is one of the score composers for Ruby alongside Jeff Williams. And Casey now has joined the score composing team as well, which is very exciting. We'll talk about that too. But yeah, so we'll chat about the finale, but we'll also chat about the volume as a whole. And what was our favorite thing, what was our least favorite, or we'll chat a lot about music today. So we will get started with that in just a second. Cory, do you have notes? Because I do not have notes.
I do have notes.
Yes.
Because you never do.
I never have notes.
I literally finished taking them 20 minutes before we got on Skype. I just kept putting it off, and I was like, no, I need notes.
Organization skills. So
I mean, this was also just a hard episode to take notes on because it was largely fighting. And so,
it was very action-based. Yeah, definitely.
A lot of times during fight scenes, I don't really have a lot of notes to take because it's just, it's fighting.
Yeah. Don't mind me typing. Sorry. It's in the Discord.
You never.
I minded very much.
So I haven't had a chance to rewatch the finale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I've only seen it the one time, and so most of it has not gone in because I reacted to it with Larissa this week, and that's the only time I managed to watch it. It's been a busy week, so...
Yeah, you've been having a lot of computer problems.
Yes, I have. And then I had Pride Parade yesterday, and I was hoping to watch it yesterday, and I just forgot. But, yeah, so I've forgotten a lot of what's happened in the finale, but that's because there was a lot in there, and I did not absorb it properly. So, I'll let Cory take it away, because I don't actually remember how the episode starts.
It starts with the Juniper versus Neophyte.
Oh, it starts there? Okay.
Neophyte. Neo space fight, not neophyte.
Get up.
Yeah.
You're outnumbered.
But yeah.
That didn't quite go the way I was expecting it to.
Really? That went exactly how I expected it to.
Yeah, I think I really love the way that they animated Neo in that fight. She's just super cool. I love Neo. It's like peak Neo. Just getting to bring out her inner. She's almost like a trickster. In the way that she like riles people up and sets them up for failure. The last time we saw her fight was against Cinder, and that was last volume 5, volume 6.
Volume 6.
Volume 6, yeah.
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so it's really cool to see some more Neo action again. Really interesting the way they play too with her turning into Nora and using that against Ren, which my heart breaks for Ren.
I know.
The poor baby. He's been through enough this volume.
I know. They just really tore him down over and over again
Ren
this volume.
Year. I'm like, geez, give the bucket a break. But yeah, I was kind of almost expecting Neo to use Pyrrha against them, but I'm also glad that they didn't do that. Because it would have ripped.
I mean, they would have
out.
had to make a. They would have had to make a Pyrrha
model, yeah,
character model, and they've already had so many new characters this season that like that probably really wasn't in the budget to like, you know, try to match her in a way that we can tell it's her, but it's still like in engine properly, and it probably wouldn't have worked out well.
Yeah, it would have taken resources that probably there wasn't room for this volume, especially because the omittance of a post-credit scene, for which reason Cory gave that they didn't want to have to crunch to get that done, and I'm like, that's fair enough. Honestly, for this volume, what more could they have shown post-credits that they didn't show in the finale? It would have been something completely irrelevant to the current plot. So I'm kind of glad that they left that out. It was a little jarring when the credits ended and there was nothing. I was like, where is it?
Yeah.
Like, there's always been an end credits scene. It was so weird to not have one.
I think the only thing they could have shown us was Tyrion, but like other than that, they wrapped up everything else pretty neatly in that like kind of last montage section. Yeah. So it wasn't needed, so why bother?
Exactly.
You know.
And RWBY finales in general have struggled to wrap things up. And so I like that this one sort of wrapped up every plot point that was currently going on. Before it was like Salem rolled in on her giant whale and was like, bow down bitches, I have arrived. She's like, I fucking love her. I love her new outfit. I'm obsessed. Fucking step on me, queen. So much tit.
It's the same amount as she had before.
But
she's always had the
see it before. There's much wider cleavage this time around, and there's definitely boob outline happening, but I live for that. I live for how, like, sexy Salem is. It's really weird, because she's, like, a grim person.
I had a thought about this, and this is totally not educated by anything other than just my watching the show just like everybody else. But it's kind of funny that she chose to change into that outfit now that she knows she's going somewhere where she might well, now wait a minute, does she know that she's going to probably meet the new Ozpin?
Oh yeah.
I think like, so. Yeah, like, Hazel told her.
What if there was a decision made in there, you know, gonna go see Ozpin to remind him what he's missing or something.
Oh, my ex-husband's here. Better get the Tartars out. Show him how I've glowed up.
I just thought that was...
I didn't expect to see you here.
Fancy running into you here, Ozpin.
But the slightly humorous part about that is that it's Oscar, so...
Yeah, 14-year-old boy.
And she's, like, immortal. Or whatever. She's lived a million... I don't know what it is. Don't listen to me.
She can't die.
We don't know exactly how old she is. Millennia old, probably.
Yeah.
Thousands of years. But, yeah, now I've just got this image in my head of, like, Salem and Oscar meeting face to face and Oscar just looking at the floor, like...
Right, like, totally being, like, super shy.
Anywhere else.
Ashamed.
Look anywhere else.
Right. Well, really, all of the little subtle things, like Nora and Neon being all like, "Who's the cute farm boy?" Blah blah blah. Has like sort of been leading to him being prepared for that moment with some imagined moment with Salem in future volumes. And again, I don't know anything about any of this. I just think it's funny.
Alex doesn't know anything about the plot.
I really don't.
Just at the same time, the thought of Salem and Oscar face to face terrifies me, and I'm like, if you lay a hand on my sweet little farm boy, you're dead to me.
Although he got his magic this episode,
which is really exciting.
Because I thought it was
the category says Dead by Daylight. Oh, whoopsie! Let me change that.
That's Sid. Hi, Sid.
Whoopsie! Hold on. Keep talking. I'm just gonna fix this.
But I thought that what he was doing was his semblance, but I realized that it can't possibly be his semblance because Ironwood took out his aura. So that couldn't have been a semblance. That was actually like
that was
was magic.
It had the same effects that we saw in Volume 3, Chapter 12, when Osborn fought Cinder briefly. Still an incredible moment. Incredible moment for the score, too. One of my favorite pieces of score. In Volume 3, Chapter 12. We'll talk a lot about the score today, I imagine, because I have some I don't want to say thoughts. It sounds terrible. No, I have some really like positive thoughts about the score this volume. And the soundtrack.
Look, I can take criticism. It's all good.
I don't think I have any this year. I really don't. I usually have at least one thing where I'm like, yeah, but this year I'm like, no, that was perfect. I can't fault it. So, yeah, the Neo, I'm getting off track. The Neo fight, I really don't remember a lot of what happened in this chapter.
Yeah. I mean, they did the fight. She shattered into glass, which I still am like, I need to know how this works. Like, is it like a clone sort of situation? Her semblance is so weird. It's
like Ruby's, where it's a lot of things at once. And none of them have really been explained, so we don't know how it works.
Because it kind of feels like clones, but also illusions, but like also invisibility a bit. And I'm just like, what do you do?
Like,
tell me.
Changeling as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are you? How do you work? I don't understand you. I'm sure they'll elaborate on it a bit more in the future. But yeah, she's just a bit of a wild card as far as the semblance goes. It seems like there's really no limits to what kind of illusions she can perform, because Emerald's is the closest one I can sort of think of. She's another illusionist, but hers is very specific kind of mind control, where she just creates images that the person can see, or multiple people. Whereas Neo is like, oh, hey, I shatter into glass, and now I look like Ruby. Oh, hey, what's up? And I'm like, what are you? You confuse me. But I love you, so I don't really care. But, yeah, the progression of this fight completely escapes me.
But,
I still want to know what happened to Oscar. Why is he so filthy?
It probably just is from him and Neo scuffling, I imagine, because... I'm
impressed that he managed to land a punch on Neo last chapter. But yeah, he holds up pretty well against her, but obviously she's not trying to kill him. She just wants the lamp. I think she's more than a little bit aware of the fact that he's actually Ozpin. So she's like, I don't want to get in a tussle with Ozpin. I'm probably going to die. I just need the lamp.
I mean, I don't think she actually would know any of that. I mean, I guess you could say Cinder filled her in, but because Cinder would know, but she would have no idea who Ozpin is. I mean, I guess maybe she would. She was
of,
in Vale. She lived in Vale.
that goes off of how much she actually knows, how much did Cinder tell her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Because, I mean, I don't know, Neo seems like more of a direct kind of person. She's not like Cinder and that Cinder's gonna kill you and then, you know, priorities are, I'm just gonna kill everyone in this room and then do what I came here to do. Whereas Neo's the other way around. She's like, I need the lamp. I'm just gonna get the lamp. I'll kill you if I have to, but like, just give me the lamp. And I think she underestimates Oscar as well. So she's like, as a farm boy, I can just take it off him. Which she kind of does.
She kind of did.
She kind of does. Yeah. Also, yay for Team Juniper being useless once again. Well, congrats, guys. You suck. But you know,
they really did not do much this volume.
They really were not very helpful. Honestly, they probably made it worse. But yeah, they don't thrive in a one-on-one combat situation. We've seen massive improvements with them as far as the Grimm is concerned, but every time they've gone up against a person, they suck. So, yeah, clearly that hasn't improved.
I mean, but none of them really have good weapons for that, though, because, like, you know, yeah. Nora's got a big old hammer. Like,
a grenade launcher in a hallway.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really work.
Yeah. Ren's the only one that has a weapon that's, like, decent for taking out people, like we saw during the Vital tournament. But, like, you know, the problem was he couldn't get close enough to Neo to try to incapacitate her. She just was, you know, throwing him around.
Team Ruby probably would have fared a bit better against Neo, having had that history with her as well and knowing her capabilities. But yeah, the fact that Team Juniper, or Team Junior, excluding Oscar, had heard of Neo before, I'm guessing from Team Ruby, but they hadn't actually faced her in one-on-one combat. So, yeah, she's a bit of a wild card. She's very unpredictable in the way that she operates. So, but I mean, it was 3-on-1, guys. Come on. But yeah, it is Neo, so I'll let it slide. She did end up getting the lamp, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she like, you know, Oscar got separated from them, and then she saved Oscar as Nora and pulled it off him during that time, and then she ran off with it. Yeah.
So
again, I said this last episode, her goal was not to win the fight or kill them or anything. She was just going to get the lamp and go.
Yeah, exactly. So Salem's going to have the lamp next volume, which scares me because there's one question left.
But I was talking about this with my sisters. I don't know if she knows about, like, Jin. Like, the key word is, you know, Jin. Well, but we heard in the backstory that Ozma hid that from her. Or he only knew of the relics when he told her everything. He hadn't found them or learned anything about them yet. So, who's to say that he would, you know how he would have passed on the information for her to know. I mean, granted, though, again, it's been countless lifetimes since then. She probably maybe could have learned in that time, but
I feel like she's had more than ample time to learn how the relics work. Because, again, we don't have any of the history before the show's events, really. After the events, what we were shown in chapter 3 of last volume. So, with all of Salem and Ozma's history. But, I feel like she knows. Surely. Like, I feel like after all this time, she wouldn't not know how the relics work.
I mean, also, but then, like, yeah. I was like, I mean, what would be the point in her using it? But I'm like, actually, that could be really dangerous in her hands, because she can go, where is the relic of choice? Because they never found that one, and so that could be a scary thing for her to learn.
Yeah.
Even though, again, that's a few more volumes off before we can consider that again, but yeah.
Because I've been so focused this whole time on, like, who's going to use the last question? Who's it going to be? Is somebody going to actually ask the correct question this time? And now that Salem's going to have it, I'm like, oh, shit. please don't use it. But yeah, like you say, if she uses it, that could be very dangerous. Yeah, especially because we don't know where the relic of choice is. A lot of people are speculating that Glinda is the relic of choice because she has the crown symbol on her cape. And I'm like, yeah.
No,
I see where you're going with this.
it's a physical.
But
The whole person?
yeah, the person.
The whole person.
Yeah. That's
Can
what
a
people
person-
are speculating at the minute. But
I mean, I could see like maybe she knows where it is, but
I
like
can see where people are going with it, but at the same time, there's a moth just flew in front of me.
it just flew directly into the camera. I was really like, ugh.
I hate moths. Ah! Fuck off from my light. I didn't get it. Don't mind me. But yeah.
I don't know. He said that he hit it in a different way.
But I also just don't think we're gonna see Glinda again.
I don't think so either.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like maybe at one point that was the plan, but I feel like since then the plan may have changed slightly. I feel like it's definitely not an accident that she has that crown on her cape, which looks very much like the relic of choice.
Yeah, but we don't know if Monty even had the idea for the relics when he created Glinda, though, because like the idea for the maidens wasn't created until between volumes 1 and 2.
I feel like he's had the relics planned for a long time. I feel like this was always the point, was Salem and the relics. The maidens is an interesting thing because, like you said, it wasn't an idea right away. It sort of happened along the way. But I think the relics in Salem have always been the core of the story. I mean, I can't say that for sure, but it certainly feels like that part of it has been planned out for a long time, especially given how much detail they gave us in chapter 3 of last volume, with regards to the history, and that takes years to write stuff like that. So, yeah, I think the relics have always been the point, but I think they're sort of still. I mean, Ruby is a show that figures itself out as it goes, so I think they're still working out the logistics of everything as they go, but yeah, I think the relics have been planned out since the start, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, so it would be interesting to know sort of the timeline of what was worked out before and what wasn't, but then that's just going to open up a whole can of worms.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, it's just best to just leave that until after the show is actually finished. But so end of volume 7 now. Initially, discussion was surrounding 9 volumes. Years ago, discussion was surrounding 9 volumes. I now think there's going to be 12 volumes.
Yeah.
Because I don't see how they can wrap this entire story up in the next 2 volumes, and we haven't even been to Vacuo or back to Vale. So, and we haven't even been to where Salem is. No, the characters haven't. We have, but characters haven't. So there's a lot still left to explore, as far as Remnants itself is concerned. So I'm now thinking 12 volumes, because that would be 4 arcs of 3 volumes. It's neat, it makes sense. Everything comes in 4s in Ruby. So, but yeah, 2 more volumes is not going to be enough, I think, for them to explore everything and to wrap the story up. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that almost immediately got changed from 9 to 10 volumes at least, because they split volume 2 and 3. Like, they were originally 1 season.
And every year there's something that's getting pushed back to the next year and the next year and the next year. And there were things that got pushed back for 3 volumes because they're like, no, we can't fit this in. We can't fit this in. And like, it's also about we can't fit this in, but also about putting it into the story where it feels like it belongs there, rather than just being like, oh, we need to do this, quick, put this in here. So yeah, the story has definitely expanded, probably a lot more than they thought it was going to. and the focus has shifted several times as far as what they want to tell in the story, what's important to the story, and they've also gotten a lot better in recent volumes about showing us what's important and leaving out what isn't. So not, explaining the same thing 3 different times because different characters are learning about it. We know we don't need to see that over and over, and they've gotten much better about that in recent volumes. So it's just cutting the fat essentially of making the most of their screen time. I feel like volume 7 is the top contending volume for making the most of its screen time. There's no oof chapter this volume, which is interesting because every volume's had a stinker. This volume doesn't really have one. So that's
chapter 8's the closest, and that one honestly, it was just because it was short and then had a break after it.
Yeah,
it entirely had to do with it being released episodic and had nothing to do with it being an episode.
Yeah, it was unfortunately timed to be the break chapter, and came off as underwhelming for that reason. It's still a solid chapter. It still has some really good character moments in there. It is the weakest of the volume, but it's not a stinker. So, what was volume 6's now? Was it chapter 9? It's always chapter 9.
Yeah, I don't think people like chapter... No, I think it was chapter 8.
It's either 8 or 9.
Because chapter 9 was Forever Fall.
Oh,
and people loved that. So I think it was 8. Which also was the break week episode of that volume.
It was, yeah. No, volume 5, chapter 9 is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. But yeah, no bad episode this volume, which I'm like, improvement. Yes, we like not having a bad episode. Having said that, all of the bad episodes have like at least one really good scene in them. It's just that everything around it was not complementing that.
Too exposition heavy, or just stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Which they have gotten so much better at.
And not even necessarily too much conversation, just too much useless conversation.
Yeah.
It didn't serve a point.
Well, volume 5, chapter 9 is just literally 9 minutes of Cinder and Raven talking, and I'm just like, I hate both of you. Can we not be here? I don't want to listen to this conversation. I don't care. I'm done. But also, that's something that we probably could have done with half the time of, or done without altogether. Because and it's something that we can fill in ourselves as viewers. So I think that's why it didn't come off so well. But no, this volume. I would like to say that this volume is my favorite, but I can't.
I can't either. Volume 6 holds such a special place in my heart.
Volume 6 was incredible, and it also had Blake and Yang versus Adam, and that's the greatest thing to ever grace RWBY in all of time. Having said that, chapters 3 and 11 of Volume 7 are my 2 favorite chapters of RWBY ever. Hands down. So
3 and 11.
3 and 11.
Yep, they were 2 really, really fucking great episodes.
Yep. Alex is trying to think what's in those episodes. So chapter 3 was
the Aesop's
versus the big geist in the mines, and chapter 11 was Ironwood versus Watts, and then the conversation in his office that happened after that. When he found the queen piece, Cinder's queen piece. So those are my 2 favorite chapters of RWBY ever. They're incredible chapters, incredibly written, choreographed, just everything about them incredible. I would like to say that chapter 12 is one of my favorites, but I can't because of the ending. Sorry. The chapter's incredible. I love the choreography. Everything is gorgeous, but yeah, I'm so salty about it that I just can't. I just can't. I'm so mad. Still, I haven't gotten over it yet. It's a soft spot for me, okay? But yeah, No, I would love to say this is my favorite volume, but for a couple of reasons it isn't, because volume 6 just had those moments in it that was such huge moments for the characters that I love, and just like the 3 chapters of Blake and Yang versus Adam, chapters 9, 10, 11, no, 10, 11, and 12, were just so beautifully put together, and so it's just like, I just watch it forever.
I momentarily forgot what even happened in season 6, and then I'm like, Argus,
yes.
And then that like had the apathy too, and it had the backstory of the origin story, good. And
volume 6 was a travel volume done Saffron. Right.
Yeah.
Volume 6 was not volume 4.
Mm-hmm. It just had so much good in it that I'm like,
so good.
Even though volume 7 was incredible, I'm like, oh, but it holds such a special place in my heart.
And personally, volume 6 is my favorite. Objectively, I think volume 7's the best volume. Objectively. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm too salty about certain things. So I just can't say it's my favorite, because, you know, trading out losing Adam for losing Clover, I'm like, that ain't a fair trade. I don't like that. So yeah, no, volume 6 still my favorite. Volume 7 objectively the best, undeniably, hands down, the best animated, best written, gorgeous lighting, gorgeous textures, just everything about the volume was incredible. I really can't fault it too much. Obviously there's little things that you can nitpick along the way, little things that I noticed that are always probably going to be there. But just an incredible volume altogether. And Kruby have done such an incredible job with it this year. I absolutely commend them for the sheer scale of work that they've had to do. But yeah, I completely went off track on a tangent there, because I don't remember what happens next.
Next is the start of the Penny and Winter versus Cinder fight.
Oh my god, I kind of
the battle for the maiden.
I kind of forgot all about this.
It was like all the indoor fighting stuff with, you know, all of that, and I really liked Cinder's line that she had while she was fighting Winter there about you Atlas Elite are all the same. You think hoarding power means you'll have it forever, but it just makes the rest of us hungrier, and I refuse to starve. I like that line, because I'm like, we know that Cinder has this weird obsession with power. We just don't really know why yet. And so it's just like, it gives us just another hint towards Cinder's like origins or backstory or motivations or whatever. And I'm like, just tell us, please. I just want to know.
Honestly, it's too late. It's been 7 years. If we haven't learned anything about Cinder now, anything that we learn is going to be like, okay, I don't care. Like, hey, Dodge, welcome.
Honestly, I think that's why a lot of people hold on to the Cinder is Summer Rose theory thing, because there's a reason they're keeping her backstory from us, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
Cinder is not Summer Rose. This is a stupid theory, and I can't stand it. And I don't normally like saying that, but it's stupid. They're two different people. Okay, get off this topic. I don't understand some of the crackpot theories that come from the fandom sometimes. I'm like, what do you mean Cinder is Summer Rose? They're two different freaking people. It just doesn't make any sense canonically for what we know about Cinder and Summer Rose at all. But I don't understand where that theory comes from. I don't understand the reasons behind it, and I'm like, who come up with this? I'm guessing they're waiting for the right time. They've waited too long. This is the problem. I'm like, at this point, leave Cinder ambiguous. I don't care what her motivations are. I just want her to be squished like the bug that she is, which will happen eventually. But for now, she adds an interesting element to the story. And what's weird about Cinder is that Ozpin says in his speech at the end of the chapter, you know, he's talking about fear, and he says fear of failure, and it shows Cinder. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, all you do is fail. Like, you haven't actually successfully managed to do anything since Volume 3. And even then...
I know.
It was
I
a
was kind of
great cost to
disappointed.
her.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed this episode because even though I like predicted, I was like, she can't run off with the maiden powers because like they just can't quite the way that the story was developing, they just couldn't have that happen. So I was like, but like Cinder needs a win. Like Cinder has done nothing but lose over and
Yeah, but
over
Cinder
again.
doesn't deserve a win, so I don't care if she doesn't get one. I'm just so done with her at this point. I'm like, I don't care. You're just useless, and like, eventually you will die, and then that's your story done. But we're all useless, and then eventually we die. At least Neo came through. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I knew Neo would be that.
On this topic, Cinder does this incredible thing where she comes in at the last minute and takes credit for the work everyone else has done.
Yeah.
That is her MO. Every single time she walks in at the last second is like, hello, boys and girls. And then she's like, oh, you've been doing all this work all volume? Yeah, I'm going to put a queen piece on his desk. This is mine now. And then, like, Neo does all of that work to get the lamp, and she just snatches it, and she's going to walk up to Salem and be like, I got the lamp for you. And Neo's going to be like, the fuck? Bitch! Do you have any idea what I went through to get that? I also like that, though, because there's this element of possibility for Neo to turn her back on Cinder, because I feel like Neo's not going to put up with this for too long, with, like, Cinder not even a thank you, just like, oh, lamp, mine, see ya, bitch. And I'm like, yeah, Neo's not going to put up with that from you for much longer. The only person she's ever answered to is Torchwick. Neo doesn't care about Salem. She doesn't care about any of this other shit going on. She just cares about her revenge at this point. And Cinder better be careful that she doesn't turn her against her. Because Neo's one of the few characters in the show that can take Cinder. So...
Yeah, honestly, the only reason that Neo's working with Cinder is because A, she's kind of afraid of her, because, she's got magic powers, and then B, Cinder promised her that Ruby and her revenge and everything, and if Cinder doesn't deliver on her promise to get her revenge, she's gonna be like, pokey pokey stabby stab, like.
Exactly. I thought I had is that Neo misses how Roman praised her when she did a good job. I feel like I want to know more about Neo and Roman's relationship, first of all, but I feel like it was a mutually beneficial arrangement, and that she kind of admired him and he kind of doted on her. I feel like it was a lot closer relationship than it came through possibly on screen, because they just didn't spend a lot of screen time together, Neo and Roman. But, like, I feel like she definitely looked up to him and kind of almost, like, worshipped him. And the only reason that she was going along with any of this is because he was. So, and again, Roman didn't give a shit about Salem or any of that. If he even knew, I doubt he did.
He didn't.
He didn't give a shit about the bigger picture. He was just in it for himself. And so, by extension, Neo was as well. But yeah, I don't think she's going to put up with Cinder's crap for too much longer. I think Cinder has a bad track record of turning people against her, including Salem. So it's going to be interesting to see Cinder, like, literally, like, scurry up to Salem next volume and be like, hey, I got the lamp. Are you proud of me, Mom? Like,
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's exactly how it's going to go. Tyrion as well is going to be interesting when Salem rolls in, his goddess is back. Also, what is he doing at the minute? What's his purpose at the minute, Tyrion?
I mean, it was cause chaos, but like she's here now, so it's probably go find Mom, and Mom will tell me who I need to kill next. Like
essentially, yeah, I kind of love the Salem Tyrion dynamic. I love Tyrion's character. He's just deliciously insane. But I love the dynamic between him and Salem. because it's like he worships her and she does not care about him at all. Like she will squish him if he, you know, disappoints her in any way, shape, or form.
Disappoint me.
You disappoint me. It's like one of the most powerful lines in the entire show because of the effect that it has on him. And like she didn't do anything. She didn't harm him in any way. He literally ran back to her with his tail, half his tail between his legs. And she was like, I'm disappointed in you. It's like, that hurts. But gosh, I love Salem. I'm actually kind of glad that she's here. Let's just throw Salem into the chaos because why not? Everything else has gone to shit already. And time for Salem.
Well, I mean, but my sisters were both commenting that, like, they don't understand why we're already seeing Salem because, like, Salem is the big bad. So, like, why are we already having an encounter with her? And I'm like, well, we have to have, like, an encounter with her. And then, like, they'll use this encounter with her to, like, you know, learn her weakness or something. And then they'll, like, build up what they need to stop her that way. Like...
The thing is, this is exactly where it was always going to be. They've been setting this up since the end of Volume 6. So
yeah.
I don't know why, like... Oh! I think we just lost Alex. Well, Cory's face is now cut in half. And very
oh no,
zoomed in.
Wait, hold on. Let me just go this way. Hi, I'm Alex Abraham.
I don't know what happened there, but I will just attempt to get Alex back real quick. Hold on. I don't know what happened. He might have hung up accidentally. He's on his phone, so we have a bit of an interesting setup today. But yeah, this is always how this volume was going to end. I mean, we called it from the start. We were like, oh yeah, Salem's going to show up at the end. And hello, Salem showed up at the end. It's like, they were setting this up since the Flying Monkeys after the credits of Volume 6. So
yeah, I wasn't surprised this is where it ended at all.
I'm scared of next volume. I'm both scared and ready for it at the same time because there are certain characters, James Ironwood, that I really want to see just go down. Thank you for the host, Tyson. I think Alex's internet may have dropped out where he is currently. I'll just wait for a message from him. My phone died.
What's the cameras? I just need I just need the spotlight on me. I have too much personality for one box.
Good lord. So Alex's phone died. So that's why we lost him. He says it's plugged in, so he's not sure why it died. We'll see if we can get him back at some stage. Hold on.
Yeah, that was actually Alex has brought that up earlier, where he's like he'd be interested to see Oscar and Salem interact, and like you know, his ex-wife shows up looking hot, and is like, oh, I didn't think you'd be here.
Fancy meeting you. Yeah, Alex was saying that it's like you know, she knew that her ex-husband was going to be here, so, like, she pulled out the tartars and threw on a nice new dress with the shoulders out, and, like, oh, Oz, fancy seeing you. He's going to turn his phone back on. Technical difficulties. But, yeah, if you guys have any questions for Alex, too, just chuck them in the chat at any stage. Obviously no questions about when's the soundtrack coming out, shit like that. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next volume. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's not involved in any of that. He composes the score for the volumes. So I think I hear Larissa. I was going to say the Corner of Remnant's not live yet, but I think she's just...
No.
But yeah. What were we talking about before that happened? Something.
I mean, we were talking about Cinder.
Oh yeah, Cinder. Cinder is useless still. Nothing has changed.
And like that thing is, I'm like, I feel like she should have gotten a victory, but like, again, what could she have done? Because she couldn't have run off with the maiden powers. The only thing is like, could she have killed Winter? Like, would that have been enough of a victory for her?
I honestly thought Winter was screwed. I'm very surprised that she lived.
I'm not.
I thought she was screwed.
But,
that
I
also
don't know.
makes her the first potential maiden that Cinder has not murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just really cathartically enjoy seeing Cinder fail because she's so up herself that I'm like, I just want you to just fuck it all up.
Yeah.
And that's all she seems to do.
I mean, like, again, she took on these two highly trained people and was like, honestly, she was beating them too. So it's like, she is a threat, but at the same time, it's like, but she just keeps not obtaining, like, she keeps failing her objective over and over and over and over and over again.
Because she doesn't capitalize on the opportunities she sets up for herself. She's so focused on, like, oh, I'm going to murder you just because I want to. And it's like, well, bitch, you could just go do what you came here to... No, okay. Like that whole time that Penny was, like, talking to the Winter Maiden, I'm like, Cinder could just come up and just stab Penny right now in the face.
Yeah.
That would probably do it. But, you know, it's just... Cinder's just awful. She's just so bad at her job. It's a wonder that, like, Salem hasn't just snapped her fingers, snapped her out of existence yet. Because Cinder's useless.
I mean, that's why I have a bad feeling about... I have a bad feeling about next volume, because I'm like, oh boy. Shit's gonna go real bad next volume.
Yep.
I mean, like, also, just to begin with, like, they've got a fucking another Grim invasion they've got to deal with.
I know, so much Grim invasion this volume. There's been, like, 3?
Yeah, basically.
Volumes so far, and now I love the Whale Grim.
I mean, it's been, like, 6 hours since the last Grim invasion.
Literally,
like, storyline-wise.
Not even.
Yeah. Like, it took place at night, and now it's, like, early morning, and she's like, oh, more Grim.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Salem wants one single person to hold all of the Maiden's power, if it's not
I don't think
to
she
then
does.
take that power for herself.
True.
I feel like Cinder was just supposed to be the catalyst to draw in all of the Maiden's power so Salem can just kill her and take it. But I also don't know what Salem could do with that power that she doesn't already do with her own. So,
I mean, she would just have more magic.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand the motivation behind Cinder obtaining all of the Maiden's power, unless that's just, like, something that Salem promised her, or something like that. I don't know. None of it makes any sense.
Unless maybe it's just... Yeah. I mean, getting the relics, yeah, but, like, that doesn't feel like... What if she could just have 4 maidens, then? Why have one singular strong maiden?
I mean, I guess one is more reliable than 4 different people.
Sure.
But if it's Cinder, it's not. Because clearly she's useless. She can't even get 2. She's supposed to get 4. Like, it's not going to happen. I think Salem needs to reevaluate that. Because clearly it's not working. She's relied on the wrong person. Cinder is useless, so... he's coming. Cinder is totally and utterly useless, so... that part of the plan needs to be reevaluated.
I mean, if that even actually is the plan.
Yeah.
Like, you know, her plan could just be, like, you know... do we care about Spring still now that that the lamp is out in the open? Like, is the Spring Maiden honestly important anymore? I think she'll become important later, but I don't think that it's necessarily, like, super
it's probably
important.
The only reason that she sought after the Maiden's power is so that she could open the vaults and take the relics.
Yeah.
But, for Cinder, it seems to definitely be all about the power rather than the objective. And the lamp was already out in the open, and like you say, the Spring Maiden is irrelevant now because she serves no further purpose. So, and also it's Raven, so, like, keep her out of the story for as long as possible, please. I don't care. But yeah, I don't. Aside from getting the relics, I don't understand the motivations behind it.
Yeah.
But where was I going with this? I don't know. I lost my train of thought in the middle of my sentence. Um, where were we at the top? Oh, the Penny, your Penny and Winter versus Cinder fight was really interesting. What they did with it, because it started off inside, but then they went outside and doing this sort of like falling action, which is very Monty, and just I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting them to take it outside.
Yeah.
Which I mean, calling back to Cinder and Neo a little bit, like take it outside. But yeah, all of the falling action was really interesting. And then Penny saving Winter as opposed to going after Cinder. And just being like, you know, Winter's like, no, my life isn't important. And Penny's like, I disagree. I'm like, yes, Penny.
Yeah. Well, I just love, again, I said it earlier, is like that they're sticking with their like rule that without aura they can't use semblances, because they've kind of given that rule a little bit of slack before.
Yeah.
But like they're definitely like kind of seem to be sticking to it more with, you know, like they showed Winter fall, but she still had her aura, so she was able to summon the Manticore to fly back into the action. But then Manticore gets destroyed and her aura goes down, and they make it you realize she's fucked.
Yeah.
Like
exactly. And they've shown us a little more of that rule as you talk about in volume 6 when Jean was amplifying Ren's aura in the airship to mask them from the Grim. And then both of their auras break, and Ren's like, that's all I've got. And he can't use the semblance anymore after that. Which makes a lot of sense. And it's a rule they seem to be sticking to now, whereas, like you said, they haven't really in the past. But yeah, semblance seems directly correlated with aura. We've seen people use their semblances to breaking point of their aura before. Sun's done it before. Ren's done it before.
Blake's done it
Blake's
before.
done it before. So yeah, so and Yang's like Yang as well. When she used her red eyes in the Blake and Yang versus Adam fight, her aura went down immediately after she deactivated her semblance. So, yeah, it's definitely a hard and fast rule that they're sticking to now, that aura and semblance go hand in hand, and you can't use your semblance if you have no aura. So it's really interesting balancing act of like using your semblance, but not to the point where you can't take damage.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also having to avoid taking damage as much as possible so you can use your semblance.
Yeah, it just makes me think about Jean though, because Jean, like we saw him earlier this volume do like use his semblance to replenish his aura, and then it's like, you're a bit overpowered, aren't you, Jean? Like you've got this weird, interesting combination of aura semblance interaction thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a little OP. He just hasn't learned how to use the semblance to its full ability yet. He's still a little baby, so I'm sure he'll figure it out. Hey, look at that! Look who's
Hey. I'm no longer in two screens.
Welcome back to the land of the living.
Yeah.
We were just talking about aura and semblance and shit like that. Hang on 1 second. I need to get my water. But yeah. Where were we in the episode? Oh, still at Cinder and Penny versus... sorry. Penny and Winter versus Cinder. There's too many characters. I can't keep up. Yeah, it was a really dynamically interesting fight.
Yeah.
I still feel like Cinder's voice acting was a little off this chapter.
I liked it. I liked it, especially when she has that line later where she says she's mine, and I was like, ooh,
yeah, that was
go
awesome.
Jessica.
But like, I feel like she sounds different. I'm not really sure if this is like, I'm not sure if it's a deliberate choice or not. That's the thing. She just sounds different to me in this chapter and the previous one. Whereas the rest of the volume, she sounded like Cinder. But yeah, I love the dynamics of this fight. I don't, the progression of it is escaping me completely. But the Winter Maiden was a surprise element in this, in that because she was the thumbnail, I suspected that she was gonna do something of significance. But for her to straight up like just grab Cinder's hand like it was nothing, I was like, oh, here we go. This bitch has been a maiden for like 60 years. Let's do this.
I mean, that's the first thing that I guess technically second thing that I successfully called is that Freya would end up fighting in some way, and she did. She just kind of went ham.
Yeah. Imagine how confusing it would be for Freya, somebody who clearly shows signs of dementia, who is also a maiden, who can do all these incredible things with her power, but then also is talking to Penny like, I have a job to do and I don't remember what it was. And she's just casually creating this, cyclone of ice around her, this glowing eyes, and she's like, I forgot what I was supposed to do next. It's so endearing in a way. I feel really bad for her. The fact that she's had the powers for so long definitely seems to be a contributing factor to her strength.
I mean, Winter said she was a fully realized maiden, and I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, fully realized. Who knows? Something Cinder definitely is not. But yeah, all of the action that was going on around like Penny and the Winter Maiden sharing this moment together, and like seeing the depth of the Winter Maiden, the confusion that she has. Like, I know I had an important job to do, and I was waiting for someone, but I don't know who. And from the very start when they introduced all of this Freya and Winter stuff, I was like, there's no fucking way this is gonna go the way that they want it to. There's no way Winter's getting those powers. But Penny wasn't a candidate that I expected. I wasn't sure she was eligible because she's a robot.
Yeah, it's true. That thing I did say that's why I considered like Penny becoming the maiden a half victory for me, because I first saw it going in like the aura transfer way, or like I didn't think she could have. Exactly. I didn't think that she could obtain the powers, like,
kind of
naturally.
Yeah, it was interesting, though, because the Winter Maiden gave her the power before she died. It's not like she died and it went to Penny, which we've seen happen previously. She transferred it to Penny. So it's interesting.
I mean, I feel like that could just be the visual representation of, like, her dying and the power seeking out Penny.
I don't think Freya died when that happened. I think she died afterwards. I don't know. I have to watch it again to be sure, but
I think that was just how they visually showed us how the like natural aura transfer of like being in one's final thoughts goes, because we've only ever seen these things happen. I guess technically was Cinder stealing half of the soul and then killing Amber and the soul seeking out its other half.
Yeah,
like that's the only other maiden inheritance thing that we've seen, whereas this is the first time we've seen it like naturally.
Kind of, yeah. But like Penny was holding her hand at the time, so it makes me question whether Freya like physically transferred the power to her, because I wasn't sure that was something a maiden could do. But again, there's a lot about the maidens that we just don't understand and don't have the answers for. So,
I mean, like, this is also we finally get confirmation in this episode that like it isn't that each of the four maidens has a specific like maiden eye color effect. It's that it is somehow in like it is individualized to who the maiden is, because Freya's was obviously blue, but Penny's are green. And then it comes down to, is it like based on their physical eye colors or their aura colors? I brought this up on Twitter earlier this week.
People who've had powers, their aura color was the same as their eye color. So
exactly.
Vera was the only candidate. She didn't even get the powers, but she had green eyes and a red aura. So we don't know if it's aura or eye color. I feel like if it was aura, it would look strange if somebody with green eyes had red flame effects coming out of them. I feel like that would look just odd. So,
but as I said on Twitter, it is like an extension of your soul, though. Like, it's magic powers. It's inherently tied to your soul. So why wouldn't it be the color of their aura?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm saying it would look really strange. So I'm not sure if that's the way that they would do it. Rubies would either be silver or red. Yeah, essentially. But yeah, I'm just not sure about the qualifications for maiden powers because Penny has part of Pietro's soul. So she doesn't have a whole soul. I don't know if she has a complete aura. Because she has part of his aura, but does she use that aura to generate her own, is the question.
I think that is what it... but Pietro kind of disproved that, because... Although, I guess he disproved that it was artificial.
Yeah, it's not 100% artificial.
But can she use the real part of his aura to, like, fully generate one? Because, like... I don't know, I talked about this in my reaction, that, like, it does kind of, like, have this interesting thing where, like, you know, I mean, if Penny has, you know, a male aura, but she is female, and it's like, you know, why, like, I guess that technically means, though, that then auras don't have, you know, genders, but, like, it's a stupid question to ask, but I'm like, but why is Penny a girl? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Why?
She's a robot. She has no gender. And as far as we know, it's only young women that can inherit the powers, which is why I think Freya manually transferred it to Penny. Because I'm like, if this was left up to fate, if Freya just died, would it have even gone to Penny? Is the question. Because she's an android. She doesn't have a gender. So... I'm just very confused about why she's an eligible candidate for the Winter Maiden powers. Because but the thing is that like, she wasn't, and I was like, well, how does this work?
It comes down to, though, that, like, you know, but she is a girl, like, you know, like, and people have always had the question of, like, could a trans woman be a maiden?
Well, yeah,
and it's like. Yeah, well, I mean, but, like, it came down to, you know, like, basically came down to identities and people I feel like this episode definitely proves that, like, it doesn't, like, sex doesn't matter or anything in this equation. It just comes down to women, like.
I don't know, because, like, does Penny identify as female? Does she identify as anything? It's never been addressed before. So, yeah, I feel like it would definitely be more correlated to identity rather than biological sex.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't, it just confuses me. I'm like, okay, but why are you eligible? I'm just very confused as to why she can even inherit the power. But... which is why I didn't think she was going to, because I was like, there's too many varying factors here to arguments for one way or the other. So I really hope that they address this and not just gloss over it, because I would like them to explain this, because it's very confusing. And just doesn't make a lot of sense right now.
But I mean, as Larissa pointed out earlier, and I was going to bring this up as well, that it is, like, interesting that Freya basically does end up being, she ends up being the blue fairy that turns Pinocchio into a real girl, you know, or a real boy, but a real girl.
She already was
and I'm
a
like,
real
that's
girl.
Interesting. Well, I mean, but, like, literally you have, I mean, like, literally minutes earlier, Cinder refers to her as a toy. You know, like, I'll not be taken down by some toy or something, and it's like, you know, she's this is, like, further proof, like, she is a girl, you know.
Yeah, but
she's a young lady.
Like Ruby said back in Volume 2, she's like, of course you're real. Like, it doesn't matter what you're made of, you're still real. You still have emotions, you have feelings, you are a person. Just that you're made of metal and not flesh, but, you know. I don't like that notion of turning her into a real girl. I'm like, she already was. How dare you? Like, she's real. She's tangible. She's here. She has feelings, personal feelings.
Personal feelings.
But yeah, I'm just very confused about the whole maiden transfer to Penny thing, and I really want them to address this, because I just don't understand why she's eligible. Yeah, it's just weird to me. I'm gonna need to watch it again to see if Freya, like, if it was like a conscious transfer or not, because it came off that way when I watched it the first time. Hopefully we get answers. I mean, it could go one way or the other. Could be glossed over, or it could be explained in too much depth. But
I also just love how, like, all season they've been setting up the, like, differences between Winter and Penny with, like, you know, Winter being human, but she's definitely icy cold and all this stuff. And then you have Penny, who she's a robot, but yet she's, like, very much in touch with her emotions and feelings and stuff like that. And then, like, you see in the end, it came down to, like, Freya needed somebody to comfort her in her final moments, and Penny was there to do that.
yeah.
And I don't know if Winter could have done it the way that Penny did.
Alex is just taking it all in. To our opinions.
Somebody just wrote, poor Alex just listening to us argue if Penny is a real girl or not.
Yeah,
that's
the
funny.
score in the part of the episode was amazing.
Who's that?
That's my roommate, Larissa.
Oh.
Yeah. She's
Hi,
in the other
Larissa.
room. They're about to start their podcast in about 30 minutes. A dramatic music to Oscar falling and Penny with Freya. Yeah, we'll chat. I'm sure we'll chat a lot about the score.
I thought that the new song was already playing at that point.
Not at the point where he's first falling. It plays after that.
Oh, right. No, it doesn't start, right, because the song starts when, I think it starts around the time Winter says, like, she's a part of you now.
Yeah, it starts in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen it once, so I really need to watch it again.
You really should have watched it
again. I remember very well when this song starts, not to, just you know, because I watched it a few times. If you can imagine that happening, working on it. Yeah. The song kicks. You're talking about the slow ballad, right?
Yeah,
the one Casey.
The one that Casey Williams wrote, right?
Yeah.
And how about that, huh?
I know.
I think
that's so cool.
Awesome.
I so weirdly feel like a proud parent for Casey, because I'm like, she's growing up so fast. She's writing Ruby songs now. And the score, it's incredible. It's amazing.
It's really, really, really something. Nobody is more of a proud parent though than Jeff.
Oh.
You got to know that. Yeah. When he showed it to me.
She didn't write Fear, Larissa. That's a typo. She said that on Twitter.
That one.
Sorry, I just need to interject with that. The credits for the episode were incorrect. Casey did not write the credits song. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They actually changed. They corrected the credits today in the new when they unlocked the video for the following Sunday, I guess. Yeah. I have no idea how it goes, but they did make a correction to that.
Yeah, they usually make corrections and changes when they unlock it for the public. Yeah. So
right.
A week later.
So the ballad kicks in right after Ruby goes all silver eyes. Oscar blasts his way through the bottom of Atlas.
Shaft, I guess.
Yep, and then the scene cuts to black, and then the first thing that you hear is the wind and Ozpin's voice. And I remember it that way only because that's something that Phil Spann would do for the mix. And I say that in a very loving way. I have a lot of love for Phil, and what he basically how he manages to balance everything out that we throw at him.
We all have a lot of love for Phil. The mixing just gets better and better as the volumes go on. I've actually, you'll like this, Alex. I've been working on a sort of mini project this volume where I've taken moments from chapters that were just really good sound mixing moments and put them all together. So especially chapter 3 had a lot of like, I call them eargasms, where it just sounds so good because all of the beats are on point, the music's on point, and like, just all of the Jesus Christ, rude.
That's Boston for you.
Oh God.
It's freezing cold here, by the way. What's the not to sidetrack us any more or participate in? No, I'm just kidding. But what's the temperature like where you are?
73 Celsius. Hold on, let me translate that to American.
It's 73 degrees here. It's warm.
It's 62 here. It's colder than where Cory is, and Cory's in winter, and I'm in summer. Which is bullshit. But I live on a cold island now. I don't live in a warm place anymore. It's fucking bullshit.
And I live in the desert.
I'm wearing a hoodie in February. What is this? But anywho, yeah, we live in a freezing island. Yeah, we fucking hate the weather on this island. What were we talking about before?
Music.
Yeah.
You're working on your eargasms.
I'm still working on it. I have the one for chapter 3 ready to go. But yeah, it's basically just a compilation of all of the really great sound mixing moments in every. And one of my favorites that comes to mind immediately is in chapter 3. When the Aesop's fight is going on, they've just destroyed the Geist and all of the gravity dust is falling. And then Clover calls out Harriet, and the score picks up, and Harriet's dashing through all of the fucking... And then Ruby jumps in and grabs it, and she does that little giggle. I'm like, that's my favorite sound mixing moment ever on the show, ever. It's so good. It's perfect. I could listen to it.
That little giggle is priceless.
Just like the score kicking in there, and like just everything that's happening on screen. I love the way they animated Harriet's semblance with like just the effects on it and how slow everything else is moving. I'm like, this would have been a fucking logistic nightmare to animate this shit. So Ruby's giggle. It's so cute. I love it so much. But yeah, that's one of my favorite sound mixing moments of the whole volume is that one there. Just that entire fight in general, but like that particular moment. But yeah, just there's been so many of those this volume where, especially in the fight scenes, where I feel like previous fight scenes may have suffered from either too much sound or not enough. The fight scenes in this volume, like every hit is meaty, has weight behind it. The animations have weight behind them, especially in chapter 12 when we saw Crow versus Clover Tyrion. I don't know versus who. People versus people. 3 blokes having a scruff in the snow. That sounds really weird. Not what it was. But like seeing Crow wield his scythe like that, and then all the accompanying sound effects and the score that was going on as well, it's like, it reminds me of moments in the Blake and Yang versus Adam fight with the like weapon hits and stuff like that. I gotta do some of those videos for Volume 6 too, because there was so many good sound mixing moments.
I have a theory about how one of the ways that Phil manages to do that, and I don't know if it's just Phil, so I don't want to go on record as saying that I have any inside knowledge about this, but I think that he or somebody, maybe all of them, tune the sounds of the objects hitting, like weapon hitting, roughly somewhat in line with the score. And that level of attention, and that's I can respect that because it's just about as OCD as I would be if I found myself doing sound, which I'm probably would never be able to get into. It's just it's an even bigger thing than I don't know. I got a lot of respect for the sound folks. On this show.
You're absolutely right. the immediately on that subject, the first fight that comes to mind is Yang versus Adam in chapter 11 of Volume 6. Yeah. Where, like, that score starts up there. That's very... a score that's very reminiscent of Volume 3. Right when she first engages Adam in combat. And, like, every beat, every hit of sword, every punch is in line with the score. And it's just such a perfect sound. It's just delicious to listen to.
I literally think sometimes they take the sounds and run them through some kind of a pitch transposer or some kind of a ring modulator to bring out certain frequencies that are literally in tune with whatever key, and it's totally random because we just hand them whatever music came out of our heads in any random key. That none of that, so I don't know, I wonder if that's part of their process, being that utterly obsessed with making it work together. And if they do that, I mean, I almost feel bad for them and think that maybe what we should try to do in the future is agree on set key signatures. That
no,
way.
Please don't. What you're doing now works.
Okay.
Works really well. Don't change it. Keep doing it the same. But yeah, no, just the sound moments in the fights, and like you say, timing things to the music is a very Monty thing. That was definitely, especially in volumes 1 and 2, was something that he talked about a lot in interviews on the podcast, not this one, the Rooster Teeth podcast, and he talked about how he loves to time fights to the music, because it gives it so much more impact. If you just watch the same fight to some, backing track, maybe it's a really good song, but if it doesn't fit, then it just doesn't work as well. So he was very heavy on timing the fights to the music. So to see them doing that now, still years down the track, is really good, because it was something that made Ruby so special in the very beginning. Is that not a lot of things really do that. So not to the extent that Ruby does in any case. Some anime does do it. But again, it's totally different style of animation. So it doesn't have the same impact. It's a very different kind of impact. The sound effect Manchurian dislocated his thumb was so gross yet so good. Oh my god, crunch. Jesus Christ. It's one of those sound effects that you hear it and it just makes you cringe. But yeah, and like his floppy fucking thumb, I'm like, oh, dude. It like legitimately made my thumb hurt. Didn't like watching it at all. I was like, oh, that sounds like you've broken something, deliberately.
I bet if you were to edit parts of that video where you don't really get the context of what it is, where he's just kind of looking down at his own crotch and like making those noises and faces, I bet somebody's done it. All right, I'm not recommending that you do that, and I don't even know what that would look like. What am I talking about? I don't know. I'm just being silly.
Oh gosh, I mean, it's Tyrion. Anything could happen.
Tyrion Kalos out of context.
Fucking Josh Grelle, man. I can't sing the praises of Josh Grelle enough.
Fucking A.
Fucking
yeah.
Incredible dude.
Pardon my language, but they're I do agree. As far as, in my opinion, the voice acting in this season was just insane.
Yeah.
Jason Liebrecht as Crow, phenomenal job by Jason, especially going into this show, taking on this role that was shrouded in so much controversy recently. Just the sheer amount of just hatefulness and just toxicity that was thrown at him from day get, from certain members of certain people's followings that do not represent the fandom in any way, shape or form. just the sheer amount of crap that he had to deal with on social media before the show even started, months before the show even the volume even started, and the way that he's handled all of that, knowing that he's coming into this role that was previously handled by, you know, somebody who has had a lot of controversy surrounding them. He did a fucking phenomenal job as Crow, and like he in one volume managed to go from sounding a bit odd to, yeah, this guy's Crow now, I can't hear him any other way. Like the old volumes of Crow sound strange to me now, and he's done that in one volume. And I'm like, it took me
Crow's never been this likable.
It took me a couple years to get used to Ren. I'm still not really used to Yuri Lowenthal as Mercury, even though I love Yuri Lowenthal so much. He's very different from the original Mercury voice actor. So when I jumped from volumes 2 to 4, AJ, thank you, from volumes 2 to
JJ.
4, JJ, why did I say AJ? From volumes 2 to 4, that it's a noticeable difference. I love Yuri Lowenthal. He's doing a fantastic job as Mercury. Well, not at the minute because Mercury is nowhere to be found. But he will come. He'll be here. we'll just have to be patient. I'm sure we'll see him next volume, probably, an Emerald. Maybe, possibly. But yeah, Jason Lebrecht, phenomenal job. Can't commend him enough. He has done incredible as Crow, and I love what he's brought to the character. I love the weird like softness he's brought to Crow. Crow
actually has emotions now.
Crow's gone through a lot of change this volume. Not only changing voice actors, changing outfits, but also, you know, being sober, dealing with that, developing new relationships with other characters, developing his relationship with Ruby. You know, he's and having James Ironwood back in the picture too. He's gone through a lot of change this volume, and Jason has brought a huge element to that for his character. So phenomenal job by Jason. Samantha Ireland, incredible this volume.
Oh,
Barbara
God, yeah.
Dunkelman, Cara Eberly, Aaron Zek, all of them incredible. I forget Clover's voice actor's name, but I really loved him as well.
Chris Waycamp or something like that.
Yeah. Incredible job as Clover. Loved him. He was perfect for that role. Anaris as Harriet. She did a phenomenal job. I forget Mara's voice actor's name as well. I really should write these people down. There's so many incredible new voice talent in this volume, and the girls and all the returning voice talent, Miles, Samantha, Neith, just knocking it out of the park. Whoa, there go your lights. Where did the lights go? Motion lights, gotta love them. Yeah, just incredible voice work this volume.
Very, very quick about that. Dawn Bennett, who played the voice of Elm,
yes,
is a Berkeley alum or grad. I actually forget, but she used to come in to some of the facilities that I've been working in on campus for the last 10 years. So when I found out that's who it was, I was like, oh, I know that person. Whoa.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
She's also she's on the soundtrack. She sang in War, one of the tracks on the soundtrack, which is really really cool to have somebody who voices a character actually sing in the song that's related to that character. Which I don't think, aside from Casey, who technically is the singing voice for Weiss, that's never happened before in Ruby. We've never had a character's voice actor also sing a song that's for them on the soundtrack. Even though this War is like a general Ruby and Aesop's, or at the minute we don't really know what Jeff is planning to do with the rest of the song. We only know what we've heard, but the fact that it's in the chapter. And, like, the fact that it starts when we see a shot of Elm and we hear her voice actress sing, is really, really freaking cool. And that's not something we've seen in RWBY before. The amount of additional voice talent that's been on the soundtrack this volume is very exciting.
Caleb Hyles.
Caleb freaking Hyles, man! I love Caleb Hyles. I'm so excited to hear the rest of Hero, because I have been a Caleb Hyles fan for years, and he loves RWBY. He's a huge fan. He would have lost his goddamn mind when they told him that he was going to get to do this. But yeah, he's perfect choice for that song, definitely. I love his voice. I love him to pieces. I've loved him for years. And, like, I didn't recognize his voice at first when I was watching the chapter. I was like, oh, God, that's familiar. Who is it? I was like, immediately, it's not Jeff. Who is that? It's so familiar. And it drove me crazy the whole chapter. And then I spoke to you, Cory, afterwards, and you were like, it's Caleb Hyles. I was like, it is Caleb Hyles! But yeah, that is just so cool for him that he got the opportunity to do that. There's also an additional voice on, is it Let's Get Real or is it Celebration? It's one of the two.
Oh, I think it's Celebration.
Celebrate? I think so.
I guess
there's an additional male voice.
I can confirm that, yeah.
On Celebrate, I think it is. Yeah, because Let's Get Real is the one that we thought originally was Tell Me It's Love.
Yeah.
But we now know it's called Let's Get Real. There was him, whose name escapes me now, unfortunately. Then we have 4 incredible female voices for War. Casey, Adrienne Cohen is back. She sang in Nevermore last volume, which I love the dynamic between Casey and Adrienne, because their voices are so similar but so different. And also we have the addition of Dom, which is incredible. And oh gosh, I never remember the other.
Erin Riley.
Thank you.
I knew
Erin
you
Riley.
always forget.
Yeah, she's
forget her.
Like so well known, and I'm like, I always forget your name, but I love her too. She's incredible. So the amount of additional voices in the soundtrack makes me really excited to hear, because I feel like the soundtrack's gonna be very different from previous RWBY soundtracks. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's so much dynamic, different voices going on in the actual music itself.
We've just had 9 actual song snippets appear in the show. Like,
I need to tip my hat to the music team right now. 9 original songs in the volume. That is incredible. I don't know how they pulled it off. But that is more than we've ever had in any previous volume. I think the most we ever had was 7. So, just absolutely phenomenal job. I don't know how they did it. But
Go Jeff, go Casey. They're just hardworking people.
Definitely.
Very hardworking.
But I also feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, the schedule, the timeline was a little different this year to how it has been previously.
Well, no schedule has ever been the same.
No.
Every one of them has had its aspects. I really don't have a better word for that. I was trying to think of a neutral word, because I wasn't trying to paint that in a negative or positive way, just purely neutral. Every one of them has just had different attributes, and I know why I chose attributes, because there are details of each that you can guess what the details are, but the actual numbers and stuff like that, I can't talk about or anything like that. This one was definitely a move in a different direction as far as the length of time is concerned and the starting point is concerned, than in at least the previous, what are we up to now? 7?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think that there was a trend over the last 3 before this one, and then this one was a complete departure. So yeah, in a lot of ways, and I actually don't know how it's kind of strange to be on this side of it, because I know that there was some PR stuff that happened last year that I don't want to go into personally, and some of it, had to do with timing and stuff like that. And this time around, I don't know. I think I can try to summarize it in spirit by saying the people that we work on the show with, the people that interacted with us directly. I mean, I don't know any of the voice actors. I don't know any of the animators or anything like that. But the people that direct us and produce us, I feel very, very grateful and thankful for. Not to say that I would not have felt that in previous seasons. I just mean like this season, very particularly, there was something special about our communication this year. That it was special for me. And I'm trying so hard not to say something along the lines of, yeah, it just felt easier, because it was still hard. I mean, it's not like the work is easy. And it's not like it's super like hard. It's exactly the kind of challenge you would think it would be. But this time around, it didn't feel like, that sort of, there were far fewer moments of, oh my God, life or death. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sounds like it was just like more chill.
Taking the pressure off a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't want to paint it completely in the 180 direction either, because I don't know if that's particularly a great outlook for them to have publicly either. I mean, nobody wants to. This is all opinion. This is so opinion. I want to make sure that this is just
Alex's
my
opinions
opinion.
Are not endorsed by Rooster Teeth in any way, shape, or form.
Right, exactly.
Don't get him in trouble.
Right. And think of it like this: you're at work and you've got like maybe you get a job somewhere, and there's a couple of different managers depending on what time of the week it is, right? Mm-hmm. And you report to them, and everybody's who's had a few jobs knows there's like the cool manager, and then there's like the practical manager, and then there's like the hard ass manager, right? And the hard ass manager, they come in and this and this, and I mean, sometimes it can be whatever. The problem with being the cool manager is that you've also got that target on you, like, oh, they're the ones that are just letting everybody slack off. That's not what I'm trying to say about the way that this season felt either. Nobody for a moment ever made me feel like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, no, slack off, who cares? It's not like that. No, they kept us on, but they did it in such a way, for me personally, that felt like I was supported and I was allowed to try to find the voice of the vision. You know what I mean? As opposed to just sort of like just like blast through it and see and hope that something stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was such a ramble. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. No, that makes sense. Yeah, it definitely, and not just for yourselves, for the entire production company this year, production crew this year. We know that they wrapped principal animation on the volume about 3 weeks before the volume ended. And that's huge. They have never in the history of the show have they wrapped principal animation 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Like, that is a huge thing for them. I know they did start a lot earlier this year, and it definitely has paid off as far as the quality of the overall volume is concerned. We've definitely seen the quality of the animations improve, the quality of just the work in general has improved, and it definitely seems like everybody, from what we can tell from social media, from our perspective as viewers, definitely seems like everybody was happier with the way that it was handled this year. In that they were given more time to really work on the things that mattered, and not doing the character shorts as well was a huge element to that. So having nothing to work on before the volume. And then also not having an end credit scene as well, just focusing on the volume itself. And I think that's the way everybody has preferred to do it. That's the way us as viewers prefer for it to be, because then what we get is a volume that's of really high quality, and everything feels cohesive and everything flows really well. And clearly the time has been taken to make every single detail as good as it can possibly be. And not sacrificing things for the sake of time. So I think as far as that's all concerned, us as viewers and the crewbie are on the same page. We're like, this is how we all want it to be for volumes going forward. Like, we don't need character shorts to build hype. We build enough hype on our own. Like, we're still going to be here this time next year to watch Volume 8. So we would prefer that the crewbie spend their time working on the volume and making sure that they're also not doing things like crunch, making sure that they're getting their breaks, making sure they're not spending every waking hour, long hours of their day working on the show just to get it done in time. We want them to do it because they love the show and they want to make it as good as they possibly can. We don't want them to do it because they're under pressure and under time crunch. So I feel like this volume, I mean, the evidence is in the volume. The sheer improvement in the quality of everything in this volume definitely sticks out as far as the different way they've handled the scheduling. And I know that we know as viewers, it has been announced that Volume 8 began writing halfway through Volume 7, and Volume 9 is starting to be written. And I'm like, you guys are a year and a half ahead as far as writing is concerned. We don't know anything beyond that. We don't know if any principal storyboarding. We don't know anything that's going on outside of that. We know that Volumes 8 and 9 are currently being written. And we don't know any sort
Erin has mentioned that she's going to start recording lines for Volume 8
Barbara
soon.
already started. Barbara has already recorded for Volume 8. So the fact that they're recording voice lines now, when Volume 7 just finished, I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
I'm still recovering.
I know. Don't worry, we're still going to get the same amount of break, but the fact that they're getting such a head start on it is once again going to show in the quality of Volume 8 if they're starting now to
yeah.
to
I
get all
mean,
of this
like
done.
even I think it was Cory posted on Twitter this morning that like he's like, this is the first time I've been able to like take a break since like Volume 6 maybe even.
Yeah.
Like he's taking a break this week, and I'm like,
We
go
want them to
Cory.
Take breaks. Don't burn yourselves out, please, for the love of
Yes.
God, take breaks. Because if this is the quality that we're going to get when the scheduling is handled this way, handle the schedule this way every year. Honestly, that's as our opinion as viewers. We want the crewbie to be well rested, to spend the time on the things that they need to spend the time on. So, and we don't want them to burn themselves out either, or feel like they're under pressure, or time constraints. So there's always going to be time constraints. There's always going to be things that need to be done last minute. But
yeah, the other aspect of it is that it also, but on the other hand, it's still a job. You know, it's a creative venture with a lot of moving parts. So, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why we have people to keep us on schedule. And I might sound like I'm playing devil's advocate right now, and I kind of tend to play that role in other things that I do at work. But yep. I hear all of that. I hear all the different sides, and I think I might not have to say this, but I would like to go on record and state that when I mentioned the PR stuff last year, I'm not insinuating that I have any understanding, and I really don't, of any changes that occurred between then and now that equated to or resulted in this season feeling the way that it did to work on for me. What I was saying, like the good things, I really don't know uh, um, what led to it to feel this way, other than the people that I was in communication with this year, um, being who they were. But anything else other than that, I don't personally want to or have any reason to or any information really to gather any kind of or draw any kind of conclusion about. So
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah, and we're just speaking purely from a viewer's perspective,
Sure.
what we know from social media, what we hear from members of the Caribbean with regards to the scheduling. And we are lucky in the sense that they are very open about that kind of thing. You know, a lot of production companies wouldn't tell you
Mhm.
shit with regards to their schedule. So the fact that they're open with us and say, "Hey, we wrapped on principal animation today," and it's like, guys, you're a month out from being done. Like, the fact that they even communicate that to us is a very special relationship that we as the fandom have with the Caribbean.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a tumultuous relationship at times,
Yeah.
but
I don't just
it's
you saying that made me think of, you know, also with everything that's been happening the last couple weeks with certain fandom events. Please, please stop attacking Eddie for things that
oh my gosh,
aren't
Eddie is
his
just
fault. Like Eddie is trying so hard to be communicative with us, and that is amazing. Like he talks to the fandom about writing choices and stuff like that. So like please stop directing all of your hatred at him. He's just trying to, talk to us, and we don't want to make it not fun for him to talk to us because that's so cool.
this is the thing. A lot of the issues that came from this volume happened because communication wasn't there. So now that they're trying to open up discussion about those things, to shut them down and attack them is not the right response, because all that will serve to do is shut down that communication altogether. Caribbean fandom needs to be on the same page, because there was a moment, this volume we clearly weren't, and it resulted in a lot of negativity, a lot of divide within the fandom, a lot of people directing their hatred and directing their confusion towards the members of Caribbean, which is never an okay thing to do. You're allowed to be upset over a character dying. You're allowed to be upset if you feel as though they made you feel one thing and then showed you something else. We're allowed to feel those things. What you're not allowed to do is attack individuals over it, because it's not an individual decision at the end of the day. These things are not decided on by one person. And they're human. Sometimes humans make mistakes, and that's fine. They've owned that, and they've acknowledged, as long as they're acknowledging the things that maybe haven't gone down so well in the show, all we can do is move forward together as a unit, as a fandom, and as a production team, and try and be on the same page in the future, so that things like this don't happen. And the only way that we do that is through communicating. Also, don't go shouting at Eddie over merch decisions. He doesn't do that. That's not his area. Why are people screaming at him over pins? That's not Eddie's responsibility. Like, it drives me mad when people do that, because I'm like, why are you screaming at this person? That is not. Why? Why are you screaming at anyone? First of all, but secondly, don't no. Like, Eddie doesn't have anything to do with that. I feel awful for him. He's copped the absolute brunt of it. And I'm like, why Eddie? Why is Eddie copping all of this? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, it's because Eddie is talking to us, so
It's
people
because
are
he's
like,
the most vocal,
he's
yeah.
available, like, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Scream
but
at
like,
him, get your
maybe
bitch.
no.
It's like, stop, guys, just stop.
Yeah.
It's not his responsibility. He doesn't have to listen to your bullshit. Just keep your bullshit to yourself, or go, like, we have a platform to express all of our frustrations, all of our anger towards certain things, rather than direct them at any one individual. Find yourself a damn platform. Go to Tumblr. Go, just write an angry letter directed at nobody. Get it all out of your system. But for fuck's sake, don't tweet at people and attack them over things they're not responsible for. It's just so the opposite of productive. It's not funny. And it drives me insane when I see people doing that. And then, like, even, like, when you jump in and defend these people, the absolute hostility that you're met with is incredible. Like, you know, I tweeted out, I was like, why is everybody mad at Eddie? He literally has nothing to do with this. And then people were coming at me being like, oh, but this, and this, and you're an idiot. And I'm like, like, take some Prozac and calm the fuck down, please. Like, seriously. It drives me insane when people do that. And it's not going to get anybody anywhere. So just stop. Just calm down. And, you know, find yourself a platform to express your frustrations in a healthy way. Give feedback, definitely, on social media. But feedback and screaming are not the same thing.
Yeah. They are well aware of the fandom's stance on certain things. You don't need to keep yelling it over and over and over and over and over again. They know.
Yeah, this is why when stuff like that happens, I just do a quiet quote tweet where I'm like, maybe this was not the best timing to do this. Just one fandom member's opinion. But maybe should have reevaluated that. But that's, like, you know, my opinion. But I'm never gonna, you know, go tweet at one of the Creepy members and be like, you know, you're an idiot.
How dare you?
How dare you? Yeah, exactly. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's their show, not ours. We can't control what they decide to do with it creatively. And
we're just along for the ride.
We're just along for the ride. And in the case of somebody like Clover, hindsight's 2020. After this happened, you know, you kind of go, yeah, I mean, it was always going to. But at the same time, you know, it doesn't invalidate the feelings that you have towards that particular event. Just don't direct it at anybody, because, like, they don't need that. They're just trying their best to make this show for us that they love and that we love. And if you don't love the show, fucking stop watching. Like, honestly, if you are not enjoying the show, all you do is scream hatred about it. Why are you even watching it? And just, there are certain people who I'm not going to name on here, they who shall not be named, you know who they are, who watch the show just to shit all over it. And it's like, why are you here? Just go. All you're doing is just stirring up this pot of hatred and justifying the unjustifiable to people. Directing unadulterated hatred is never justifiable. Unless it's Donald Trump. But, because it's not unjustifiable.
Hot take.
Hot take. Let's talk about politics, shall we?
Let's not.
That's my 2 cents on all of that. Stop tweeting at Creepy members. It's not productive. They're not responsible for the things you're tweeting at them. Stop it. You're just making yourself look like a dick. Stop. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on all of that. I mean, we talk about this every week. I feel like it's the fandom is a fucking mess. There's just so much toxicity. Can we go back to Volume 1 days? Where there was a handful of people that watched the show, and they were nice. Even, like, my YouTube comments, I'm like, oh, you people suck. You're the worst. But it's a small minority that are unfortunately extremely loud. So, I mean, just be louder with your kindness, I suppose. Stick up for the Caribbean members. They work their asses off every year to bring this show to us. There's a fucking spider on my webcam. Isn't that
really?
Pleasant? Yep. Welcome to Australia.
You know what that reminded me of? Will Smith and Independence Day. You ever seen that movie?
Yes, I think so. Ages ago.
Wow. Well, all right. I was just thinking he's in like a jet fighter fighting an alien in one of their spaceships, and then he manages to get it crash. He opens up the spaceship, he just punches it in the head and goes, "Welcome to Earth." And like, there's just something about this. It's just such a beautiful moment. And so you were like, "Welcome to us." Did you say welcome to Australia? to the spider. All right. Okay. Well.
No, I mean, welcome to Australia because there's fucking spiders everywhere.
Oh.
It's just a thing that we live with. Oh, spider just casually flickered away. Yeah.
I mean, that's how you get more spiders. Is fucking spiders.
Yep. I'm glad I moved to an island though where the spiders are this big as opposed to this big. That's I can manage this big.
With the masking tape on my phone the way it is, because I'm holding it up like so crappily and like you just sort of I'm using this tape to hold up my phone on like a mic stand. I actually couldn't see what you meant when you said this big versus. I'll look at the feed over there.
They're this big.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
This big.
There you go. Really that big?
I have seen spiders the size of my head.
Wow.
It's terrifying. I live in a terrifying place. Everything wants to kill you here. Not even a word of a lie. Everything is poisonous. Everything can kill you. Spiders just everywhere.
Everything is also a gun.
Yeah, everything's a gun. I mean, yeah. Have you seen all the spiders?
All right, I sidetracked us. Okay. I'm sorry I sidetracked us.
Yeah. Okay. We've gone very off topic.
We're way off topic.
Way off topic. I don't know what's going on in the chapter. I was going to talk about the like ice tornado thing. I liked the element that of like it was too cold for Winter to go in there, especially because she has no aura at the minute, and it literally freezer burns the tips of her fingers.
It literally tore the material. Like she had her gloves.
Off. Yeah.
It tore the fingertips of her gloves off. It was so cold. It was like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's the fact that she has no aura. Obviously, like it burns the tips of her fingers. She's like, I can't go in there. It's too fucking cold. But obviously the maidens.
Now I know what you mean, because she got blasted with the fireball. Then her aura shattered.
Yeah.
That's why Penny plucked her out of the air. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. I'm like, what do you mean her aura was gone? Oh.
There's a lot going on in this chapter. Hearing the maiden theme when Freya was in the ice tornado. Yes, it's a theme we haven't heard for some time. It's a leitmotif.
Yes, I'm so glad you recognize that.
Of course we do.
I am pretty dang sure that Jeff, that is one of Jeff's babies. I'm like 99% positive, but every time that I reference it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is Jeff's. Okay. Anyway, but I know only because back in Volume 3, I didn't see names on anything, but I just know I'm pretty dang sure that the point is that of course comes from the first maiden that we ever see. Is that right? Yeah, but Amber when she's when Cinder's like tracked her down to get the half the power. You know what I mean, right?
Yes, we know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. So I always loved that moment of that score that Jeff did, and I mean I sometimes think that he's just writing really cool whatever he hears in his head, and then if for some reason I'm working on a scene way down the road and I'm like, that reminds me of that. What if I do that? Like, I mean, it made sense to me to do like a callback to that, because there's the maiden and all of her glory doing the tornado-y thing, and like I was like, oh my god, so reminiscent of that Amber moment, and then later on when oh my god, when Cinder first sort of getting her fall maiden powers and then squares off against Oz at the end of Volume 3. Yeah. So I thought, I've tried to take that little idea and maneuver it in various ways and hint it back in. But this was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, no, we're going full on the same, like the choir that he used in the first one. I don't even know which library he was using or what if there were actually people, but so I don't know what the words were or anything, but it's just like, I don't know, it was a big special moment for me. Okay, so I'm freaking out about it. Okay, All right,
I
I'll
would
do that
love
now.
to attend a live Ruby Score concert. That would like make my heart sing. I would love for like just to sit there for an hour and just listen to Score, just like live with an orchestra and fucking choir and shit.
I can only imagine being somebody hired to be in that choir, getting the lyrics for the first time, and then like for not for I'm talking about for non-actual lyrical songs where there actually are words, but the score portions where it's just gibberish, and they're just like, what the hell is this shit? What is that even?
I'm just
I
thinking
know what
about
you're
Lenny
thinking.
and what you did
Yep.
with the score there, and like the
What?
fucking the score for the Leviathan Grim from last volume.
Oh, sure, that's the one that you were thinking
say
of.
words.
Right. Well, no. So I ever since last year, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I don't know. I just got tired of them being random, and this again, I think is just this kind of I've been calling it OCD lately, and I don't want to offend people with clinically proven to have OCD with me just sort of randomly saying I have it, because it's not clinically like been diagnosed. But I don't know. There's like, first off, a lot of mental things are not exactly cut and dry what's one and where they overlap. That I do know. So there are aspects of it that the point is that within the last 2 years, if I'm going to do something with that choir thing, I want it to kind of approximate something. And so, like, from the very beginning of this season, the choir's going atasa, omi atasa, and those are the syllables. They sound like gibberish, but in my heart, in my head, I was like, Atlas. Oh, my Atlas. And it's something like I got it written down somewhere. It's like it's crazy stuff. I don't know if anybody really even like thinks this stuff is like worth talking about.
I do. I'm a fucking music nerd.
It's just one of those things that it's like one of those things that I sort of, to make it fun for me too. You know what I mean? Not that it's not fun, but okay. Oh yeah, atasa, omi atasa. All right. So I have very few syllables to choose from. Atasa, for me this season was Atlas. Omi atasa, oh my Atlas. Vivota, which to me was we float. And then the next three syllables are ine era vifres nesa, which is in the air we freeze. No, sir.
Love this. I love that this is a thing that you do. It's great.
And then the next is a decree nous vitari vosa, which is, and we'll decree our victory. Fuck yeah.
I love that this is the thing that you think about. It's great.
Yeah. Well, it's probably one of those things that I shouldn't. Oh, okay. Here's another one. Because we're on this topic. So you remember that at the end of chapter 10, I think it was, which was sort of like the introduction to the Ironwood and Watts fight. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, there was some choir that came in there, and again, limited choices for syllables, but I do have a ka, a ra, and a vo, and a t. So I tried to do it a little bit sped up. So karavoti, as opposed to gravity. Karavoti, mai me u kare me, gravity may you carry me to Krimane Masami, criminal mastermind. Ine. It sounds like Pig Latin sometimes.
It almost does.
Ine. in the sky. Yeah, because he's floating. Again, the whole thing about the floating and the gravity dust, and there were other random things. I tried to find the ones, the phrases that I put together for the fight in chapter. We're talking about 13, right? The finale.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. So that part where they kind of like they're fighting, Cinder, Weiss, and Penny are fighting, and then Cinder's just like, ugh, I don't even like being in rooms anymore. Let's just find a new door to outside in the air. And she just makes one. And so they blast out the side of the building is what I'm saying. And the choir at that point, I was just like, they don't need to be notes. They can just shout. She doesn't need notes. They can just be really angry sounding. But I think what I tried to do, and I can't find it, but the idea that I was going for was like I take the maiden's power, or no, I take the maiden magic. I took Autumn. I take the maiden power. I take the Vita, winter. I don't know. You get the idea.
Yeah.
This is all this is just the fun stuff in my brain that's totally not anything really that important.
I need to start listening to the score notes more to try and hear what
You
you're
will be
communicating.
the thing is like expose the choir too much and you can overly tell that it's just samples.
Well, when
and
I
so
watch the
blending it in-
Leviathan stuff now, all I can hear is like, "Do not eat me." So,
nice.
because you ruined it. Because I know what you were trying to say with it now.
Oh, Leviathan,
Giant sea monster, don't
ocean
eat me.
monster, very scary. Do not eat me.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the yeah.
Every
And of
time I
course
hear that
there-
dosa itami, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, don't eat
Alex,
me.
what have you done? I can't unhear it. I can never unhear it.
Yeah.
It's great though. I love it. I love that there's something that you think about, like that detail of making or kind of making the choir say something that's relevant to what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really such just like a silly nitty gritty detail
So
that it
funny.
doesn't do anything for the plot. Doesn't do it's really
Does
mostly to
something for me.
entertain myself.
I love it. It's great.
It's too yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a
so cool.
lyricist.
I love that you do that. It's just, but that's the thing. It's one of those quirky things that makes your score very you. Oh dear. Yeah, the maiden theme. Definitely love the return of the maiden theme. I think the last time we heard this was in Volume 6. Briefly after the Neo versus Cinder fight. Was in there very briefly. Because Cinder was ironically standing in a wind tornado. And there was a very brief stint of the maiden theme there, which I don't actually think is on the soundtrack. I think there's something else there on the soundtrack.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is that to be completely frank and honest, I don't think either one of them or any of us, but really at this point, either one of us, Jeff or I, have sat down and codified what we consider to be the maiden theme, because I think we've both had ideas that we've sort of independently worked into scenes and then repeated and then realized after the fact.
Yeah.
So like, but for me, the one that got referenced in 13, the one with when she's like floating in the tornado,
Yeah.
like that's like sort of like the power of the maiden, the power of the fully realized maiden. I liked how the script sort of made it easy to sort of title that. And then the the quieter stuff that's a little bit more like lullaby-ish, that just comes right from the fairy tale and the world of remnant thing.
And we heard a lot of that with Pyrrha in Volume 3 was where we heard the most of that in her sort of moments of contemplating her fate. whether to become the Fall Maiden or not. And I think that's the sort of most instances of where we've heard that particular leitmotif that you're talking about there. It's been in there a little scattered throughout since then. I've noticed. Couldn't tell you where and what chapters, but as I go back through and watch the show, listen to the soundtracks, it's definitely there. You guys have such a clever little thing that you do where you put in score from 4 volumes ago for 2 seconds and it just destroys my soul.
The fact that you even recognize it sometimes is just very, very, that just, it means a lot, to, in a certain way, not that you're doing it on purpose, but that is involuntary. I know that you recognized the thing last year, towards the end of, the Blake Adam Yang thing that was a callback
to the little music box thing in there that you just did to trigger my PTSD. Yeah. Thank you very much. I love it though. It's so cool. And I'm not the only one who notices. A lot of people noticed that one. That was a very prominent, where it was like we just heard the 2 bars of that music box theme, and just like as Yang's resolve kind of shatters a bit, and it's like takes us back to that place where we were in Volume 3, Chapter 11, which happened a lot this volume too.
This chapter, there was one thing that I pulled from an idea from a conversation back in Volume 2 between Ironwood and Glinda, where it's just after, or it's just before, it's sort of sandwiched in between 2 scenes where Team Ruby is with Oobleck in Mountain Glen area.
Yeah, I know the scene you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like
looking
outside. Out over the, yeah, exactly. And he's like, arm was bothering me, and she's like, so you decided to just come out here and look menacingly off into the, or whatever.
Into the distance.
Put all your clothes on, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think melodically is closest to something akin to the Beacon theme, but anyway, the point is that I didn't actually think, and I don't think anybody did, and that's fine. It's not always meant to be recognized, honestly, as more of just like this sort of like playful attempt at continuity. But yeah, there's a couple of, I think there's a melody and probably the recapitulation of the melody in the following 4-chord or 5-chord during the scene when Oscar, right? Who do I have the pleasure of talking to? Right. When Oscar goes to visit Ironwood in the vault.
The vault.
I guess. Is that a vault?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a vault, yeah.
And they're talking about trust. So it's, little things like that. That's what drives those decisions, or whatever. And it's not. I'm not saying it's particularly clever or anything like that. I think everybody who tries, who does music for visuals and stuff, tries to do that very thing. If anything, for continuity's sake, or sometimes literally, this is the most honest I'm gonna be right now. Sometimes because I didn't have any other idea.
Yeah, just go back and borrow from an idea that you had, years ago that probably nobody's going to recognize. But I'm gonna have to listen to that again now and see if I can. See if I hear.
You've
anything.
only watched this episode once, so.
I have, yeah. I'm gonna have to listen to that scene in Volume 2 and then see if I can. Volume 2 or Volume 3 was that? Volume 2. And see if I can identify that. But no, that sort of thing. I don't know how interesting other people find it, but I find it very, very interesting to recognize those recurring leitmotifs and hear pieces of the score that are repeated in different ways. And definitely that happened a lot in Volume 7. I felt like the score took me back a lot this year to Volume 3, Chapter 12. not chapter 12, sorry, the Fall of Beacon, specifically the last half of volume 3. I felt like there was a lot of mirroring going on with regards to the action and the music and the sound. And there was a lot of moments that I was like, just the feeling of dread of being like, oh my god, this is the fucking Fall of Beacon all over again.
Yeah. like the first thing that comes to mind for me with that is like the very start of chapter 10, where it just like immediately starts in on the music, and I'm just like, I'm back there. I'm back at the Fall of Beacon instantly.
Yeah, the start of chapter 10, yeah, it's a good place. It's like, you know, you hear the music come on and you're like, oh no. And especially when James walks into Watts walks into Amity Arena, and there's that very subtle score that's playing in the background, that I think at some stage of that scene, I don't know if it's right at the start, but some stage there's some score that kicks in. Maybe is it right before Ironwood like jumps down? Is there something there, or am I imagining that? Maybe I was just hearing it in my head, but
no, you're not imagining anything. Well, maybe you are. I can't see the inside of your brain.
I don't think it's reminiscent of anything particular.
No. I'm not trying to disagree with you at all with my weird head bobbing. I'm just trying to remember it myself. I just know that the music kicks in for that scene right after he closes the doors on him, and you hear him go, Arthur.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then it's just like, you know, classic James Ironwood, classic Atlas melody for just a moment, and then, you know, it switches over to the sort of Wattsy things that I was doing this season, and then, but I do think, and I'm what I'm trying to do is both agree with you but credit the sound team for this.
Yeah, I think
that I think the ambiances, the sort of it's the sound design you put in a scene to make you feel as though you're in an environment, but you don't actually hear very many things that are discernible from one from another. But it's like that area's ambiance was definitely a callback to the original, like that the hallway scene I'm thinking of in volume 3 between Ruby and Mercury.
Yeah.
Like when Watts walked down that hall.
Oh my god! I literally was like, "Oh no!"
like wow, we're there.
A horrible feeling, like you mentioned, when Watts is walking through those hallways and being every like progression that Watts makes walking through Amity Arena being taken back to a different awful memory from volume 3, and just like the general feeling of dread in the air and the atmospheric sound, like you mentioned. But I think it had a lot to do with the sound design, because like as soon as those environment ticker things started flicking over, I was like, it's like I'm back in volume 3. I don't want to be here. Like,
I love our sound team. They are just the best.
Yeah, taking us right back to volume 3 and like all of
those
very painful memories.
I'm sorry. I really am. I mean it. I really do mean it.
I mean, you don't write it.
Listen, we're gluttons for punishment, though. That's why we keep watching.
We hate it and we love it at the same time, because like it's really special that you guys can create this feeling using so little. Like that, like hearing 2 seconds of a music box makes us all go like it makes us all panic and go, what's about to happen? Like that you can play with our emotions so well by doing so little is a credit to the sound team for sure, and yourselves as the composers.
I realize. Sorry to interrupt you. I just have to share something. I know that is that, and I take it as a compliment, and I'm very grateful that you say that. Working sometimes long hours on something, um, uh, primarily alone, and I'm not saying this to drum up any kind of concern or sympathy or anything, but you know, we work in a different part of the country from the rest of the company. We're contractors. I'm a subcontractor for Jeff. It's his gig, and there's a lot of isolation that occurs. And one of the things that does tend to happen, and I'm really not trying to paint the process as a bad, evil process. It's really not. It's a choice that we all make, and it is really a part of what goes into this kind of endeavor. But the isolation part of it, sometimes you kind of, when you're really dealing less with actual people and more with the characters themselves on the screen, there is a certain, well, first off, I know for sure that the first thing I lose is my ability to communicate verbally, as evidence of this chat, and me rambling right now. But one of the other things that you kind of sort of, you don't necessarily lose, but you definitely don't necessarily have the same being, you don't fall out of touch with, but you definitely don't have the same level of being in touch with certain emotions about things, especially on the very thing that you're working on. So it's not always predictable when you've seen something over and over again while working on something. What somebody else who didn't see that thing being made and is only seeing the end result, what that everything hitting them at once when you've seen things sort of progressively build on itself, like, you know, a sketch, a script, a sound, some music. The audience sees all and feels all that at once. And the other week, an audience person sent a video of themselves, as many people who watch the show do, a reaction of themselves, and it was totally live and not rehearsed or anything like that. It was just a pure reaction to one of the events that occurred in the chapter before the one that we're talking about right now. And they're very sincere. Their very sincere, involuntary reaction. It was, I guess the way to put it, again, without any kind of painting it negative or positive, it was just very impactful and grounding and almost the humbling of the thing that we're doing, not necessarily. You forget sometimes what a real reaction looks like. And then when you see it and you realize that part of the thing that you did influenced that reaction, you're struck with this feeling of did I mean for that to have that effect? did I realize that the combination, or even just the thing that part of it you did by yourself, could have that effect on somebody, and it really it's a very strange feeling. Sorry, I don't need to stumble over my words like this. It's just it's
difficult to put into words, I think.
Yeah. I also don't want to make I don't want to make the person who did that feel bad or awkward. Obviously, I'm not naming them or anything, but it was really eye-opening. And I think what it did was, regardless of how everything else surrounding what was happening in that moment, in and outside of the show, it was this moment of pause, where you kind of go, the things that I do, even though the things that I do that, been sitting in this room in the dark, or not in the dark. I hate working in the dark. I can't work in the dark. I gotta have like a million lights. Because if I don't, if first off, I hate the winter in the United States with the whole freaking set the hour back thing. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the early night. I don't like to work in the dark. I'd rather it be day. I don't mean to interrupt myself and go on a total weird tangent. And this is starting to sound like one of those weird things that it sounds like I'm trying to say something but not say it, and I'm really not trying to do that. I'm just really trying to find the words, and I wasn't prepared to have this thought and this feeling and talk about this. And I don't mean to take away from frig, it happened again.
Oh God.
It's all happening today. Speaking of working in the dark.
Yeah, I know, right? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know what you're trying
Remembering
to say.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking only for myself, that's all.
Yeah.
And
the thing with stuff like that though is that you can write a piece of score for the show that you can intend, or you have a certain feeling when you write that score, and somebody else can watch it and interpret it completely differently. So there's a lot of discrepancy when it comes to something like music that is so emotional and so emotionally driven. Is that somebody can have a totally different interpretation to somebody else about how that makes them feel, because it's involuntary and they have no control over how something makes them feel. So there were a lot of people who reacted negatively, ourselves included, to that particular event. But it had a lot to do with our feelings and the way we related to that particular, not necessarily that particular character, but it was different for a lot of people. For me, it was more about Crow than anything. And like it was a shocking thing, and I think no one was prepared for. So when people are shocked like that, it takes a minute to process and to think logically about an event that is shocking. And that's one of the things I talk about when I mention, like, going back to Volume 3, is that there were shocking events that happened in Volume 3, in a similar sort of sense that that's a lot of why this volume takes us back to that one, is the shock of the things that were going on. Um,
I'm so sorry. I'll be.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, so there were shocking events, and people always will have different reactions to things like that. Um, but this one in particular was incredibly dividing in the fandom, as we know, um, and it's not because of any one particular thing. It's not necessarily anyone's fault. It's just the way that it happened, and maybe it could have been handled better. Maybe there were things that should have been done or addressed or thought about. But at the end of the day, that's how it went, and the only thing we can all do is to learn from that. Having said that, looking at the scene itself objectively, and hearing the music and listening to the voice performances and watching the visuals, put it all together, and objectively, it is a stunningly emotional, sad, beautiful scene. And it's horrific at the same time. And all of these elements put together contribute to everything that people feel when they watch that. It's just that on the initial reaction, the shock makes people react in a way that may seem illogical. You don't have time to process or think about it. But yeah, definitely, this is the danger with reactions, I think, is that your initial natural reaction to something may be negative, but then you'll take, a few days, think about it, talk about it, analyze it, and have a completely different view to what you had the very first time you watched it. Or even at least have
I didn't bring any of that up.
A less blinded view, yeah. But yeah,
it was just the emotional. No. I really didn't. I'm a little concerned. Yeah, never mind. I knew it should have been tragic, so we went with tragic.
Yeah, no, tragic worked, definitely. It was tragic. That's the thing. It was shocking and tragic and very unexpected for a lot of people. Seemed to come out of nowhere. But again, those are the moments in a show that are really special when something happens that no one saw coming. Even though the signs and the clues were there, people get their blinders on and they don't see them because they just, they're looking at it from one perspective, whereas somebody else is looking at it from another. And it definitely, tragedy was the right feeling for that scene because it was very tragic, and will continue to be as Volume 8 progresses, a tragic moment in the history of those characters that were involved, except for Tyrion. But Tyrion relishes it. He loves it. And that's the thing. Everything is perspective. And yeah, when you have something shocking like that, it's very difficult to gauge how people actually feel about it on first appearance because you don't have any time to process it. And you don't have any time to... That's why reviews are good, exactly. Because reviews take that thing that was shocking and then they break it down and they analyze it and they go, okay, what are the elements of this that made this such a shocking, tragic moment? What are the elements of this that pulled this scene together in this way? And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing for a show to have moments like this that cause these very strong, visceral, emotional reactions. Because you want that. You want to care about the characters and you want to feel horrible for them when bad things happen. But, yeah, it's just... It's a lot of influence from everything around the actual show itself as well that contributes to things like that.
I get
yeah,
it. Yeah.
is I think what I'm trying to say. But yeah,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
regards to the scene itself, the feeling that it conveys is horror and beauty and tragedy and sad, but also somehow a little hopeful at the same time. Um, which is it's a huge mixture of things, and I think a lot of people don't know how to feel when they see it for the first time, and then as you go back and you see it a couple more times, you can look at it a bit more objectively, and what it makes you feel in the moment is, this is the thing, because feeling is so subjective and so related to the individual. I I don't look at intention as one strong sort of hard thing, like this is what they intended for you to feel, because it's not
I
necessarily that cut and dry. Not with
I
everything.
know that everything else aside, I do know that the only goal that I had was for people to feel tragedy.
No, I think you definitely succeeded in that. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely
If
tragedy there.
that worked, then
Yeah, there's
cool.
the score that plays.
So good. No, we don't need to talk about the music there. I know what I did. You know what I did. It's
No,
all
I
good.
wanted to compliment you on the score, the piano that plays um, as Clover's literally drawing his last breaths. It feels familiar in a
It's
way,
the
and
Aesop's theme.
it's the
It's the it from very episode um from the first chapter of the season. The 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 I mean, not having got I didn't read all the scripts before I started,
mm,
and not exactly knowing or realizing certain details. Anyway, the point
oh yeah,
is
mm,
actually just superimposed over different chords with slightly different harmonic variations, so that some of the intervals still make the same sense they did in the initial chapter when they were first presented, and then you get the little, which is not, but it's still Crow, right? You know,
mm.
Mhm.
and those are just the ideas. You know, it's not like this scientific thing. It's like, oh, that makes sense, or at least it did to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it definitely was beautiful. That actually almost made me cry hearing that. And the fact that it can cause, just hearing music like that can cause an emotional reaction. My God, excuse me. And it takes you to that scene and that place is a special, very special thing. Not everybody can do that, so it makes me emotional because it takes me to that place, and
Sure.
this is a show that I care very deeply about, and the music is a huge part of the emotion for me. So for me to even just hear that takes me to that moment, and it
Sorry.
makes me sad, but it's also beautiful at the same time, which is it's too much emotion. I can't handle it. But yeah, no, that was it's tragic and it's beautiful at the same time, especially with the visual of the sunrise in the background, and the very brief conversation that's happening between the two characters on screen. Um, and all of the heavy emotion associated with it. But yeah, don't mind me. I'm just being a girl right now. But yeah.
Hey, if that's all it takes, apparently I am right now too.
No, well, the score has always been the thing for me that holds a lot of the emotion. If you watch a scene that's supposed to be sad and the score isn't helping convey that, then it doesn't come off the same way. It doesn't have as strong of an emotional impact. And I think yourself and the rest of the team over the years have nailed the way that you present the score and how it enhances the emotion of the scene. So
I very much appreciate you saying that.
That's true.
Really, really, really much. There's one scene this volume that I am super disappointed in how I did it. In that I think I personally may have confused the entire scene, but I don't want to say which one it is. Mainly because I'm actually more concerned that it would not be beneficial to the other people who worked on the scene. For me to say which scene I think I fucked up. Whatever. No, I know exactly which scene. I don't know. The scene that I wish that I had done stronger was the when they received their licenses in Amity. And
it was like 6 chapters ago. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, it's all good. No, don't even try to think. Let's just all let's for my sake, let's just all forget it. It's just I think I was trying to be too clever, and I don't know. Personally, I just feel like I missed the mark on that one, and it's one of those things where there's always got to be something there that you want to go back and try to do better about, right?
Yeah, I think too, creators are their own worst critics a lot of the time, because definitely I feel like for the characters in that scene that you talk about, this was a thing that they have been working towards since the beginning, and yet when it finally happens, it feels trivial. So
yeah, that was the and in theory, that was what that's what somebody said, go for that. And I thought to myself, I'm going for that. And then I listened afterwards and I think, and I just don't personally think that it ended up translating that way. That's just me. Hey guys, being at my other job right now, things are a little bit sort of getting busy on campus. I'm so sorry to say. I really don't ever want to just duck out of anything.
No, that's fine. If you have to go, that's fine. Brandon had one question for you before you go. He wanted to know what your favorite piece of score to work on this volume was, if you had to pick one.
I mean, instinct just says that first penny cue was really. It took a lot of time to do because a lot of the ideas were a combination of different bits and pieces from previous volumes, and actually Ruby Chibi as well. There was a skit in Ruby Chibi about fireflies. Between Ruby,
yeah.
And I had done the music for that short, and I found a bunch of other little moments in previous volume scores, because I don't know how this happened, but we had never made a Penny theme. So I went back through all the scores and I found this, ideas, and I tried to string them together. And, some of them ended up being like sort of little repeated ideas that worked throughout the rest of the season. But that first sort of from start to finish expression all the way through of those Penny ideas when she first shows up in chapter 1, because I'm a big Penny fan.
We all are.
So
we've all been waiting for this for years. So it was a really fun moment, that Penny reveal in chapter 1, and I think the score amplifies that a lot. Is that it's almost got that like kid in a candy store carnival
yeah.
There's
There's like
to it.
And so there's the little moments where it's kind of like sort of like superhero heroic, and then other moments where it's kind of like sort of nostalgic and happy, and then there's like and there's those little moments where it's kind of like twinkly and whatever, and like she's Penny. And one of the beautiful aspects of that character is that because not being brought up the way that a human would be brought up in a traditional family of other humans, and having as much experience interacting with and socializing with other humans, not having that full sort of innate understanding of social communication, both verbal and nonverbal. There's just something so charming about that to me. And I love the way that her voice actress, who's it? I forget.
Oh my gosh.
Who plays Penny? Anyway, everything about Penny, the redesign, the voice acting. I personally loved all the silly lines that were meant to sort of display her character, especially the line itself and the delivery. It gives me personal feelings.
Oh, my favorite thing ever.
Taylor McNee
loved
voices
that
Penny.
so much. What?
Taylor McNee voices Penny.
McNee. Thank you very much. So yeah, there was also this little bit of back in volume 3. I didn't score the Penny versus Pyrrha fight, but the moment that those wires start wrapping around her body, that was something that I produced. So I got to kill her, and then I got to bring her back in a way. I don't mean to put it so bluntly. I mean, she's a robot. No, sorry. Yeah, no, I got to disassemble her.
We all knew that she was going to come back in some capacity. So for
really? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. You could have told me.
No, we all knew. She's a robot. Come on.
Had no idea. No, I thought. I didn't know. I had no idea. But it was just so delightful to have her come back.
But yeah, no,
you sort kids.
Of leading up to volume 7, a lot of people were tweeting things and teasing things, and I was like, okay, I feel like we're seeing Penny this volume. This is a little obvious. So some people didn't see it coming, but I did. So when that moment happened, when you see the green laser and the score that you're talking about sort of starts up, and you see her, and it's like, she's coming, here she comes. It's like, that's how it was for me anyway. A lot of people were just confused, like, and then like, oh my god, Penny! I'm like, well, yeah, it's Penny.
I mean, you saw it coming more than I did. I foresaw her appearing in volume 7. I wasn't expecting chapter 1, and it wasn't until that green laser happened that I was like, oh shit.
It was Carrie's tweet right before volume 7 premiered, because he was like, you're gonna want to watch the chapter before watching the intro. And I was like, why else would he say that if Penny wasn't gonna be in the intro? And I knew it right away. I was like, it's definitely her. It's gotta be. I was like, there's nothing else that it could be. So yeah, I was onto it straight away, but a lot of people were speculating a bit more than I was, and I was like, it's funny because I did my reaction to that chapter with Larissa, and she didn't see it coming at all. And I was like, she was like, oh my God, Penny. I was like, really? It's obviously Penny. But yeah, that's again, like, interpretation. Like, I just knew, and other people were like, excuse me? I didn't see that coming. I was like, I did. From a mile off. But yeah, it's funny how people, some people see things coming and some people don't. With the same evidence to look at is really interesting, or lack thereof, either way. So yeah. Anyway, that's cool. I really like that piece of score that you did there. It's very much like childlike sort of, you know, anticipation of like, here comes Penny. Like, it's really cute. I love that moment there of her returning to the show. Because it's a moment that the fandom has been waiting for 4 years at this point, nearly.
I think I personally needed it.
Yeah,
I
we needed the little Penny in this volume.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, think about how much darker it would have been if Penny wasn't in it. Yeah, it was dark enough. Also, before you go, pass on our love as the fandom to Jeff and Casey, the rest of the team. Casey, phenomenal job with writing a song. She's growing up so fast. I love watching her on Twitter become her own woman and talk about the music that she does with her band, and like, just amazing job from her, amazing job from yourself, from Jeff, the whole team. Knock it out of the park every year. I don't know how you manage to get better every year, but you do. Every year I go, nah, they can't top this, and you somehow manage to. So it's a credit to all of you. And tell Jeff we want a dark intro next year. Tell him to go ham.
As always, y'all are always far too kind to me personally. But I appreciate it, and I will be sure to pass on those tidings of good spirit and love. Thank you. Cory, hi. I feel like once we got going, you got real. Did I steal your thunder?
No. I'm not as knowledgeable about the music stuff, so I don't a lot of times have a ton to say outside of it was good. I liked it.
Yeah, he hears me crapping on about like technical stuff, and he's like,
No, I it's interesting that you say that, and I this might be a good parting point if you don't mind, because I've ended up having this exact conversation with many people, and so the first point is I don't think anybody's wrong or right about this. Some people think that if you're not knowledgeable in certain ways, that maybe it's not a thing that you try to talk about then, or some people are more along the line of being knowledgeable about something as snobby. Why can't I just enjoy it or say I don't like it? To me personally, I like hearing both of those because, focusing only on the stuff that's sort of tech motivated, as far as the knowledge is concerned, is one thing. But, I guess at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is how it made somebody feel, right?
Yeah, music
and if it didn't make
all about
feel,
how it makes you feel.
Yeah, and it's so subjective. And but yeah, I mean, if somebody says but can't articulate why they didn't like something in the music, I can't fault them for that, and I try not to have any ill feeling about that. I mean, it's just an opinion, right? So if you like it, that's great, Cory. I'm glad.
Yeah.
If you didn't like it, that's also fine. You can. I am also glad that at least it moved you to feel one way or another, and if you can't articulate why you didn't like it, that's fine. I'll just try to do better overall, no matter what.
I mean, I liked it. Yeah.
I
Keep doing what you're doing,
didn't
Alex.
say you did. What?
Never change.
Oh. All right. Okay. Well, it was great to talk to y'all.
You too. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
You too.
You too.
All right. I'm signing off now. How do I? Red button. Bye. Bye. Oh, thanks everybody for listening and chatting. Dodge 176.
Dodge is always here. There'll be people in the YouTube comments too. If you if you have
nerd of ass.
If you
nerd
have
of ass.
Any questions, I will link Alex's SoundCloud and his Twitter in the description. So his work on his SoundCloud is in there as well. Definitely go listen to all of his work on there, and he's on Twitter, occasionally. So he will be.
Yeah,
around.
I've been favoring Twitter a little bit more lately than Facebook, because I don't know. It's like I mean I don't love any social media platform, but this is apparently the bonus track to the album that we just finished, because I said that was it, and here I am about to start another rant, and I'm not going to. Instead, we'll finish it because you just were very nice and gave me the send off, and I'm going to stop talking because that is just so like me. All right, have a good night.
Thank you, Alex.
You too.
All right,
Bye.
See you next year.
Okay, well, Alex Abraham, everyone. Excuse me while I just quickly fix some stuff on the stream itself. Skype, stop doing that. Bear with me one moment, guys.
I'm in 3 pieces now.
Yep.
I don't have enough hands to put symbols in all of the boxes.
Hold on. I'm getting there. Hold on. I'm working on it. I'm working on... No! Just bear with me. Hold on. Wait. I need to fix it. Wait.
Oh, God.
Wait. Hold on. Just slow your roll.
You'll get there. I believe in you.
I will get there. Here we go. Hold on. I'm getting there. Just bear with me, guys. I have to rearrange the whole stream thing.
Gotta rearrange everything.
Oh my god, Skype, you are literally the worst. Stop doing that. Alright, don't worry, Cory. You keep talking about the episode while I fix this.
Well, I was gonna say this before Alex left, but Alex did need to leave. The only thing that I did kind of have to contribute to the conversation that we were having, that it was not the right time for it, because you two were both crying, and I was like, nope, now is not the time. But it wasn't until he played the Aesop's theme for us again that I realized, I was like, oh, this reminds me so much of the Avengers.
Oh yeah, I was thinking that as well myself.
And then when he played the obviously the remix for Clover's Death, it reminded me of Endgame, and so it's weird to think of the just how those different things, and and that's kind of how I interpret music differently than you guys, because you guys hear obviously the work that goes into it and stuff, but it reminds me of similar pieces that I've heard.
There we go.
But yeah. Yay! We're normal again. Well.
Yay, sort of. There we go. Got it.
Sort
of. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely does remind me of Avengers too. I can definitely see that. But yeah, I look at music more from a technical point of view, but also from a Skype. Oh,
it just wants to zoom in on me so bad.
From a point of view of feeling, and how the music makes me feel. Why does Skype do that? It's so annoying. I don't know why it's so stupid.
Just wants to zoom in on me real bad.
Yeah, apparently. I think everything is backwards on your thing now. Yep, it is all backwards.
Oh, it is backwards, yeah.
Hold on, let me fix that. Transform, flip. And now you've disappeared completely because Skype is stupid.
Yay! I'm an enigma.
And now I can't see you at all. Alright, bear with me, guys. Just hold on. Skype is dumb in that it keeps popping out this tiny little window.
Yeah.
That, like, takes over the capture. So I can't actually see anything. I actually need to look.
Wow.
I know.
There's too much me. Ah.
There we go. Okay. Now, hopefully it stays
Yay.
there. Stay. Stop.
Hopefully.
Okay. Okay. Let's just power through. Because we need to talk about the rest of the chapter.
Yeah, we've already been going for 3 hours, and
yes.
the Corner of Remnant is still going. Wow.
Yeah, they're still going. So where did we leave off? We were talking about the ice tornado.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of all over the place, but yeah, we were. I think that was where we were.
I mean, I lose the progression of what happens in this chapter because I've only seen it the one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's easier to talk about the chapters in just like the scene chunks that happened because like the cuts between Juniper and Neo and then the maiden stuff, like it was cutting out in between those a lot. So just talking about just like the Neo section and the Winter Maiden section rather than trying to stick chronologically is, better, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know the tornado was. I mean, I said this earlier, but I'm like, what do they mean by a fully realized maiden? Because I'm like, is it because of her age? Is it because she's like, I don't know. Is it because she's dying and she's like using up the last of her strength to like try to save herself?
I think
like,
maybe
what is that?
Has something to do with age, maturity as a maiden. I guess that after a certain amount of time, you just like you can't get any better at it, any more powerful. Stop it, Skype! Nobody asked you to zoom in. Stop. God, I hate Skype so much. And yeah, I think it's just like saying that this is a maiden who has reached the peak of her power. There's like a maiden power ceiling, and she's bumped into it. So yeah, a fully realized avatar, someone who's fully mastered their powers. Yeah, essentially. But yeah, she's definitely like she's probably like what 80 something, and she's just like grabbing Cinder's hand like it's nothing. And the look that she gives her, I'm like, oh, Cinder, you are about to die. Like, you are in trouble.
I've also seen a lot of people point out that Cinder's Grim arm has like moved further up.
Yeah,
like before, it was only like here, whereas now it's like all the way up to her shoulder.
I forgot about the fact that her arm gets cut off in this chapter. Oh, that was horrendous, but so satisfying at the same time. Oh, remind me of the Nikelavi. Grim a lot. Grandma was pissed. Yeah. It definitely reminded me of the Nikelavi. I mean, it's the same sort of arm. So, but yeah, watching her arm get cut off and then seeing her like writhe around like a Seath almost. When it's like growing back, I'm like, oh, I love that. Like, it makes me cringe, and I'm like, fucking suck it, Cinder. At the same time,
it just that was another great voice acting moment for her or for Jessica, because just like God, I mean, it's weird to say she screamed real good, but like it sounded painful of just like sprouting a new arm, like
just casually as you do.
Yeah, the Grim is slowly taking over Cinder. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. That like, it would be an interesting thing that like, eventually the Grim will just overtake her.
Yeah.
It's like eventually, like it gets to the point where like the Grim is like snaking up her neck or something. Like,
Cool.
ugh,
Into her eye hole.
ew.
um,
I don't like the visual.
I love that. uh, that's really cool. Like it almost like Venom. Like
Yeah,
just like
kind of.
creepy, crawly, black tendrily things. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, that was a really cool moment there. I lose the progression of this entire scene. I really
Um,
like.
well, I mean, so she does the tornado. Penny jumps in. Penny goes up and chats with her, with Freya,
Mm,
and uh, Freya has her whole like she has her job, but she doesn't remember. Are you the one? All that stuff.
mm,
Um, and yeah, and then I guess after asking if she was the one is when Cinder breaks through, and then Winter cuts off the arm,
yeah.
and then Cinder goes ham and starts chucking knives
Cinder
at.
fucking railing on Winter and there's fucking blood
Ugh,
going everywhere. Ugh,
yeah.
goodness me.
Ugh, it's just so that was one of those moments too where it's like I realized that Winter had no aura, and I was like, oh god, oh god, oh god, every time a knife was thrown at her.
Mm, yeah.
But it is cool seeing Cinder, like we saw her in volume 6 like flash forging weapons,
Ooh.
and so it's interesting seeing her like actually use that in a fight.
Mm. She
But
used it in
yeah,
the Raven fight, but not quite to that
yeah.
extent. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was definitely very scared for Winter in that moment. Um, but Winter with her hair down though, like, can we talk about this? Everyone's losing their minds over it.
It's weird. It's a
It's
weird look. I'm
weird.
like,
It's weird, but I'm into it. But also, like, I was
she
just
looks
very
like her
afraid for
mother.
her survival in the moment. So, she does look like her mother. It's weird. Um, but yeah, like, I don't really remember what happens before Ruby and Weiss show up. Just Penny's talking to
It
Freya, I think, isn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just, well, Penny gets the power, and then it's literally like you see the shot of Penny with her maiden eyes, and then you hear Weiss go Winter, and then
Mm.
Cinder turns to look up and sees him, and first Cinder is like angry at the sight of Ruby, and then Ruby's angry at the sight of Cinder, and
And
then
then
Cinder
Cinder's
gets
like, oh fuck.
scared.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
Cinder's
and
afraid.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird seeing Cinder scared
Mm.
too. Like it's such a weird thing where like, and but it's weird. You can tell she's not afraid of Ruby. She's afraid of her eyes,
Yeah.
which
And
is
this
like,
is the thing.
no shit. You're part Grim now.
I love the way that they cut this in that Cinder sees Ruby and she's pissed, and then they cut to Ruby's silver eyes already glowing. Like she's got no chill. She's like, Cinder must kill. And like, and then back to Cinder, and Cinder's like, oh shit. And then everything goes white. And I'm like, yes, Cinder booked it out of there. She'd be stupid not to.
Yeah.
Because after
You see
last time,
you see the little hole that she burned in the wall to get
you
out of
see the
there.
little hole in the ice, yeah. But I love the way that they cut that. That like you see her eyes light up, and you're like, oh, Cinder, you better get out of there. Like you're gonna die.
I just love that Ruby just has that like inherent response now where it's like Cinder kill.
Yeah,
Like
so
her
cool.
eyes are just like shh. Which I mean makes sense because like every single the first time she used her eyes was against Cinder because Cinder had, you know, killed her friend.
But there's also
So it makes
like
sense that every time she sees Cinder sense she's like
yeah, there's also like 3 people in that room that she wants to protect from Cinder. So it makes a lot of sense that like she was immediately like, bam, you're gone, get rid of her. I can only imagine what the Silver Eyes would do to Cinder now that she has a grim arm.
yeah.
It would be really interesting. But yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, she got out of there. There's no way she just sat and took that. But yeah, props to Ruby for being so quick on the draw there. After
Yeah.
she struggled a little earlier in the volume. But But yeah, is it
Also,
just me? Yeah.
I was gonna say then the next thing that happened in that scene was Winter saying, "What did you do?" And I'm like, did she say that to Weiss or did she say that to Penny?
No, she says,
And
"Weiss, what did you do?" Doesn't she? Or
no,
does
I
she
think
just
she
say,
just
"What
says.
did you do?"
I
Yeah,
think
I
she
think
just
she's
says, "What
addressing
did you do?"
Weiss.
I think she's addressing Weiss too, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, really? That's your first question?
It's Winter. So, um, but yeah, this is just me, or does Winter seem pissed off that Penny's got the Winter Maiden power?
I don't know. I've watched the scene a few times trying to figure out, and I don't know how. I can't gauge how I think Winter feels about it.
Mm.
Because I think there is a part of her that's angry because again she had come to terms with this like you know this destiny that she had
Mm.
sort of a thing, but I also feel like there has to be some part of her that's almost relieved it's not her.
Yeah, I think so. Um, Also, it just this is another example of Cinder like. She could have just killed Winter. She could have just stabbed her in the heart and been done with it. But no, she's gonna draw it out and just be Cinder. And I'm like, you could have been done with this, but
I mean, she could have done that with Freya too after she
she could
opened up
have,
the
yeah,
thing. If she had just immediately been like, "Thunk," when instead she was like, "I must play with my food."
exactly. She's a dumbass and she never learns. Um, since she spent months and possibly over a year preparing for it, yeah.
Yeah,
I think she feels a little cheated, but at the same time, probably relieved that it's no longer her responsibility.
yeah. I mean, and you can tell that later on when they're in the airship that Weiss is like relieved it's not Winter. Like when she hugs up against Penny, you can almost tell that you can almost feel her saying thank you to Penny. Like
Yeah.
you can almost feel that in that moment.
Penny's a lot more durable than Winter. So.
Yeah.
Oh, with the cables on Penny's swords were making me nervous in this fight. I was like,
Yeah.
I can see your fucking wires, girl. Why are these things still on wires? Why are they not? Why did they not have rockets on them or something? Why are they still attached to you?
And why are
It's a
they not
terrible
Wi-Fi
idea.
controlled?
You saw what happened last time, right? But yeah, hopefully Pietro has made accommodations so that can't actually happen anymore. But gosh, they were making me nervous.
Yeah, I mean they gotta keep the strings because of obviously she's Pinocchio, and I mean we already talked about the whole like blue fairy thing as well,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Um, God, what else? Was there anything else in that scene? Winter, when she told Weiss to run, made me cry. You could tell that she's on the verge of tears. Yeah, I know. Winter in the scene is so interesting. Like, because it almost feels like she's obligated to follow orders, but you can tell she doesn't want to. Like,
Yeah.
she's literally letting them leave. She's letting them run off with the maiden powers, and she's letting them escape, and she's letting them defy Ironwood.
Yeah.
But like you can tell that like she still is like, but this is it almost feels like that she's like, this is where I belong, this is where I have to be, I can't leave this. Which is sad.
It is sad.
And then even Weiss then says we all have to carve out our own path. Which I mean, like, Weiss came to terms with that real quickly. She was literally 1 second like, no, I won't leave. And then Winter's like, you have to. And she's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, literally. I mean, Winter will be fine. The immediate threat is gone. So, yeah, them all, like, taking off on the airship with the Winter Maiden. And like, the fact that Winter just kind of lets them go, gives them a head start even.
Yeah.
Yeah, because... I mean, she knows what's really important. I think is the thing, is she questions her orders, but she knows what's really important at the end of the day. So she's willing to bend the rules a little bit to make accommodations for that.
Yeah.
And obviously because it's a sister too. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's still very protective of Weiss. So, she knows Ironwood like. I mean, Ironwood's not gonna kill them, But like, she knows that Ironwood's gonna throw them in jail if they were to be arrested, and just the sight of her sister in handcuffs in the second episode was like, and she was like, "I'm gonna kill." So like, I imagine she doesn't want to, repeat of that.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't remember what happens next.
Well, yeah, the vault was like intermixed in there, but yeah, the vault, everything down there, that was Ironwood. Ironwood, why?
Ugh.
Why would you do this?
Because he's Ironwood.
Yeah. It's just like, it sucks too because like I still want to hold out hope for him. Like,
no, he's dead. Cancelled.
Here's the thing. I think that what they're gonna do for him is they're gonna do redeemed through death for him.
Nah.
Like,
he shot
like
Oscar.
he, I mean, true. God, that moment where he shot Oscar, I was literally, I had half a moment where I was like, are we like going to have to find a new Oz?
Yeah,
like I just had half a second.
And then I was like, oh, he's alright. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And also, like, Oz will save him. When, like, I was watching it with Larissa, and she was like, oh my god, Oscar! I was like, he's fine. Oz will save him. Relax. Like, it's gonna be fine. I mean, how could Oz not reappear in that moment? But yeah, Oscar is... And people keep underestimating him.
Yeah.
And he is way stronger than anybody gives him credit for, because like he gets shot, falls off, saves himself, and then the first thing he asks Oz is, "How do we save Atlas?" Like,
yeah,
that's his primary concern. He's like, "Shut up! I don't want to hear your excuses. How do we save Atlas? Tell me." And like
he also mentioned new memories as well. These memories, and I'm like, what does that mean? Hold on.
And yeah, it's been really good to see Oscar get a lot of attention this volume, definitely. Fuck James Ironwood, he's dead to me.
He's just the general now.
What pisses me off is that he leaves a psycho like Watts alive and then shoots a kid who is also Oz, and that's a terrible idea. And when Oz comes face to face with James, he's gonna be pissed. And I'm like, you just pissed off the wrong farm boy, mate. Like, you realise that Oz is in there somewhere. I think, though, to James at this point, Oz is kind of dead or gone, which is why he does this. Because he... Almost like he wants Oz to be reborn in somebody else, so he just tries to get rid of the problem, which being Oscar.
I mean, but, like, even then, him and Ironwood, I wouldn't be surprised if after Oscar told him about the truth in chapter 9, if that wasn't just like he doesn't believe in Ozpin anymore, sort of a thing. So like there's no point for him to keep like hoping Ozpin will come back in this kid, because even if he did, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, so that's why he's like, fuck this kid, he's in my way. Like,
I love that meme
kablow.
I saw on Twitter yesterday of like when Ironwood's looking at his scroll at the end and it's got Oscar instead and it says
I
lived,
live,
bitch.
Bitch. I love that. I just love all the ones where you would...
for Oscar and James to come face to face next volume and James to be like, you're alive. Why? I can't wait for that. That's gonna be sweet. Sweet.
I just loved all the memes that I saw immediately after, where it was like those sad commercials where it was like, what would you do if there was a child right in front of you? And then it cuts to bang.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you know what's worse than a rapist? A child. No. Like...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't wait for that standoff between Oscar and James next volume, where he's gonna... It's literally an I lived bitch moment.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the fear on James's face when he realizes Oz is back and he's gonna kick his ass.
Oh, yeah.
I really want Oscar and Crow to team up against James. Just like get up there, fucking rail that son of a bitch. Just
choose your words again.
Oscar is 15. How dare you?
He's 14. How dare you?
Excuse me. He's like.
But Crow is also there.
Yes.
They said at the start of this volume he was still 14.
I disagree, but okay.
I mean, listen, I feel like more time should have passed too, but like somebody pointed out to me in one of the comments of my YouTube videos that they did say in like chapter 3 that he was still 14. So.
Yeah, but I just really want Oscar and Crow to team up and just fucking kill Ironwood. Just get rid of him.
Yeah.
Wipe him off the face of the earth. Remnant. That's just the only revenge I will accept at this point. It's the only acceptable way for James to end. Because that is Crow's kill. He needs that. And then Oscar can just.
But again, I don't think. I know. You're hoping for revenge. I'm not so hopeful that there will be a revenge to be had here.
I will not be satisfied unless Crow is involved in Ironwood's demise.
I'm just. Here's the thing, though. With the approach of fucking Monstro, I'm like, oh no, Monstro's here for Pinocchio and Geppetto.
It has a name, doesn't it? The whale.
People are calling him Richard.
Richard, that's right. Yeah. I'm literally getting those memes that you were just talking about popping up on my Twitter timeline
now. They hear me. But like with part of me is like, oh god, is like Penny or Pietro going to die to like stop the whale? But I'm like, nah, it's gonna be James. James is gonna do something to kill the whale.
I won't be satisfied unless Crow cuts off his head.
I know you won't, but I'm like, they're gonna do the whole redeemed through death thing because he's gonna
want redemption for a child shooter, and Clover is his fault. I will be mad if anything else happens to him.
Yeah, but it's also like he's a soldier, and like they're gonna give him a hero's death. Like they're gonna do that.
He's not a hero. He's a cunt.
Dodge says wants Winter to be headmaster. I want Robin to be the headmaster. I thought that said 6 months would for a second. And I was like, oh god, you should get that checked out.
I think Winter would be a better choice than Robin. Robin is not good leader material. She is too reckless and short-sighted.
I mean, but she's already leading the Happy Huntresses.
She's not good leader material. She's not a politician, and she's not a general. She doesn't have the strategic mind to.
What about both of them as lovers, leading the school together?
No.
What do you mean? No. I ship it.
No, never in a million years. How dare you do Fiona like that?
Touche.
Why? Winter gets shipped with everyone, and I mean everyone.
My water bottle spat on me.
Yeah, see, your water bottle is disputing this horrendous thing that you have created. Fucking Winter and Robin. Ugh. Winter is a strong, independent woman. And Robin is just there. But also Fiona exists, so I ship that, and Winter can stay out of the equation. But yeah, I think Winter is a better candidate for headmaster / general. I think she'd be good for it. She'd be good in that role. And also,
I mean, she is also like basically his second in command, so yeah,
she needs something to do now.
She needs a vacation.
Like
you're right.
She needs a vacation, and then she needs a purpose. Because right now her character isn't serving a purpose, other than potentially to undermine James. But I don't know that she's at that point yet.
I don't think she's there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe possibly in the future, but
it's hard for me to think about Volume 8 because I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna go. Like, I have no idea how the fuck they're going to stop the giant-ass Grim Whale. I have no idea how they're going to resolve the staff. I have no idea how they're going to like resolve any of this. Like I don't know. So I'm like, I just need the next volume so I can get an idea. Just like just give me episode 1 of volume 8. That's all I need. I just need episode 1.
I'm gonna die waiting for volume 8. This is gonna be the longest hiatus ever. Like, we're a week in and there's already centaurs and God knows what else going on in the family.
Yeehaw.
Don't even say that. It's cursed. It's all cursed.
It is cursed. I thought the day of the... I saw that the day of the finale, and I was like, oh god, people, why?
Literally not even a day. Y'all can't contain yourselves for a day. One day.
I hope Volume 8 isn't just entirely that battle.
It won't be.
Because, like, one of the things I'm disappointed about with this volume is it's like, we hardly addressed, like, the Schnee Dust Company, like, as a company sort of a thing. And we hardly addressed any sort of Faunus racism. Like, they just kept, like, mentioning that it was there. But, like, we really only got to see people being racists in episode 1. And I'm like, I want to see more of, like, social reform in Atlas.
But also, like, they just can't drag that out over 13 chapters. They just can't. It's too much time to drag out one grim fight with Salem. I think there's going to be moments in there of good character and dialogue moments in there. I think it could have the potential to be an action-heavy volume. We'll see. It's not going to play out the same way that the Fall of Beacon did. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because they had warning this time. They're not prepared, but they had warning. Yeah, the fact that Team Ruby and Junior were getting ready to leave when Salem rocked up, I was like, you guys remember that Salem's on her way, right? She's literally on her way. Why are you leaving? They're just gonna have to turn around.
And they were also leaving Oscar and Crow too.
I know. Nobody was like, "Hey, where's Crow and Oscar?" Like, bleh.
I mean, they asked where Oscar was.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't remember them asking that.
It was when Bumblebee picked up Junior. Oh. They said Yang said, "Where's Oscar and the relic?" And they were all like,
"We lost them."
Yeah.
Little farm boy went bye-bye down the garbage chute.
Yeah.
Ruby might be in trouble if Salem wants her alive. I
mean,
it's better than Salem wanting her dead.
Everybody wants Salem to kidnap Ruby, and I'm like, stop this. Stop this.
Stop it. Stop. Yeah, Salem clearly wants the silver-eyed people for something. Some reason.
Well, that's the only thing I think is that'll be the reason that Salem herself retreats, is that Ruby will use her silver eyes on her, and it'll you'll see the damage that it does to her. She'll get more grim veins or something, and that'll make them realize that the silver eyes are the key. Because you know. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Touche.
I really can't say anything for Volume 8 at this stage. We know how it's going to start, more or less, but aside from that...
Right where it left off.
Right where it left off, literally. They said that this is a direct continuation of Volume 7, so it's going to start right where it left off. As to how it's going to play out is anybody's guess. I don't think they're going to throw us straight into
we've got 8 months to speculate.
Fucking don't say 8 months. It's such a long time. How am I going to live?
You're not.
I'm not. I'm already dead inside.
Just cryo freeze me until the next volume starts, please. Thank you.
Please. What were we talking about before we went off on that tangent?
The whale.
Husband's speech. Larissa wrote it down for me. I've got it.
I also wrote it down. His speech is, the single quality that is common across every living creature on this planet is fear. It's funny then, as common as fear is, we so easily underestimate its power. Fear of growing close to someone, the subsequent fear of loss, fear of failure. And as more people depend on you, those fears can take on greater power. But the fear itself isn't worthy of concern. It is who we become while in its clutches. Will you be proud of that person? Will you forgive them? Will you understand why they felt the need to do the things they did? Will you even recognize them? Or will the person staring back at you be the very thing you should have feared from the start? I suppose we all find out sooner or later.
Yeah. It's interesting to hear Oz talk about this, because usually Salem's the one who goes off on these long tangents about fear and, like, you know, humanity and all that sort of shit.
The Grim.
The Grim. But yeah, it's interesting what he says about, you know, will you become the thing you should have feared to begin with, which is yourself. Which I think definitely speaks to James, is that
yeah, I mean, James was literally on screen during that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, it took them like days to write this monologue. Like they spent hours and hours just like writing 2 sentences, and they were just like, But it's such a good monologue, though. And it's like, even like, so much of this is used in the lyrics for Fear, which plays during the end credits.
Yeah.
And, like, I fucking love Fear. It's such a good song. I just keep listening to it.
This ballad that Casey wrote in the chapter, I love what she's done with it, with the lyrics and with the melody. It's so, like, haunting and pretty at the same time. I'm excited to hear the full version of it and what she decides to do with it.
It sounds very dark.
It does.
And I'm like, I need it.
I definitely think Volume 8 is getting a dark intro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's going to happen. We're going to have a Volume 3-esque intro. We've had a lot of light, fluffy ones. It's time for a dark intro. Also, like, literally, Salem is here. So, time to throw hope out the window.
Yeah. They're gonna make us hurt too about Clover and in the opening. They're gonna make it hurt.
Yep.
They're gonna just like twist that knife just a little bit.
I was upset by the fact that Crow kept his badge because his blood's all over it.
It was so obvious, though.
Okay. It's so morbid. I'm like, no, you can't. His blood's all over it. That's nasty. Like,
I mean, he can clean it off. Again, he's going to wear it as a reminder.
But it hurts my soul, Cory.
Listen.
It hurts my damn soul. The sync of "I'll be here until the end" with Crow was perfect. Yeah. That ballad is called "Until the End," I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't wait for the soundtrack. I can't believe it's going to be 4 to 5 months before the soundtrack comes out. I'm dying for this soundtrack.
It's always worth the wait, though. That's what I keep telling myself.
I'm dying for this soundtrack. I need it. I need it spiritually.
I need it.
I also haven't gotten the end credits song yet. I need to grab that one. But I need it for the sake of my immortal soul. Yeah, very excited for the soundtrack. Score videos this volume, I don't know what's gonna happen with them. I haven't finished fucking volume 5 yet, so I don't know. I have finished 5. I haven't finished 6 though.
Yeah.
So, because that was.
You also need to just finish uploading the Boopcasts.
Listen, I didn't get around to it. I forgot. I'm sorry.
You're only 3 behind.
Listen, shut your face. I'll get around to it at some point, uploading them. It's just a pain in the asshole to do because YouTube is horrendous. My reaction with Larissa is up at the moment for the finale. I think Cory, yours is up, isn't it?
I never hit publish on it. I'm gonna publish it after. I hadn't made the thumbnail. I'm gonna publish it after we're done on here.
Cory's is about
So,
to be up after this.
Yeah, it'll be up in a couple of minutes probably.
Oh, Larissa's went up 9 hours ago. Okay, so our
Yeah,
reaction
hers
is
went up on time.
available. Cory's will be up shortly. If you're watching this on YouTube, they'll both be up. But aside from
You're
that,
still working on your full volume
I'm still
video.
working on it. I will probably be working on it for some time. It's very large. I apologize. It's a lot of chapters to go through, and I haven't really had time to look at it. I edited all of my intros together, which was interesting. So I'm going to include that in the video, but I do need to edit the rest of the video around that. Which
See, this is why
eventually.
I told you needed to be doing it a little bit more progressively than you were.
I know, but you know me. I leave everything to the last minute because it's so much editing and I don't want to do it. Yuck. It's a lot of hours
You just don't want to
watching myself watch something. It's horrible.
I know.
All at once. I should have edited it week by week. I hate myself. But yeah, so that will be up at some point. I will tweet about it when it's gonna go up and shit. I'm probably also gonna tweet out the video of me singing the intro because it's really weird. And I'm mad that Arnold did that before me because I had the idea in chapter 1 to do it. Son of a bitch. Also, I only have 9 videos for it because 5 of them were not usable. 4 of them.
Well, 4 of them, because you didn't know for one, but yeah.
Yeah, 4 of them were not usable, so there's only 9 videos in the intro singing thing. Because of just the times that I recorded at and stuff just didn't sing or didn't sing loudly enough. 2 of them have Larissa in them, so... and the first one, we didn't know the words yet, so... And then the last one, I was singing the intro, but she was freaking with the camera, so I didn't include that one either. But yeah, there's 9 there, and it's interesting. But yeah, so I will upload that to Twitter at some point. I'll get the video up as soon as I am done with it. But yeah, is there anything in the chapter we didn't really discuss?
Well, I have in my notes that, Robin comforting Crow is not romantic development, you sick fucks.
My God.
Direct quote. Seriously. I'm like, how can people take that one interaction between them and be like, oh my God, romantic development, but they can't take the 12 episodes of Lucky Charms.
Let me set the record straight. After the reaction to queer baiting from Lucky Charms this volume, the Crewbie would not fucking dare put Robin and Crow together. They wouldn't dare. They would be rioting in the goddamn fandom streets. They wouldn't dare do it. It's not going to happen. Just because the amount of backlash that they got for Lucky Charms will translate to Robin and Crow if that becomes a canon relationship. This moment was her comforting him because he just lost a friend in a really horrific, tragic way that she was not present for. And, just no. Just no.
Yes.
They won't do it.
Just because a male and a female character glance at each other does not mean they are in love.
Yeah, they won't do it because they can't, because it will just fuel this anger fire regarding queerbaiting and things like that. I see Robin and Crow as being a good partnership going forward, because now it's just the 2 of them. I see them as teaming up, for sure.
Him joining the Happy Huntresses.
Good Lord.
I sent you that meme
Crow
of
is
here we go
trans
lesbians.
confirmed. Here we go lesbians. Yeah, Crow is now the head of the lesbians. But I see them teaming up and becoming a good pair going forward. To bring down James, essentially, is going to be their goal going forward. What makes me really sad is that Team Ruby is completely unaware of everything that just happened to Crow, and I don't know if he's even going to tell them. I don't know if he's even going to have the chance to. Like,
Yeah.
he's gonna stroll in at some point and be like, Clover's dead, and that's gonna be all that he says regarding it, and they're never gonna know what happened and what he's just gone through. And that makes me really sad.
Yeah, it's just the show left itself in a really strange place where it almost feels like anything like I'm almost unconcerned with a lot of shit to do with Ironwood right now with like any consequences from that because I'm like fucking the immortal demon is here. Like I can't be worried about Donald Trump while the immortal demon is here. Like
I know. Yeah, it's an issue. Salem really picked her moment, as she always does. She knows how to make a fucking entrance, that bitch, doesn't she? And here, let me roll in on my
in a cloud and a whale.
Also, people are concerned about because in Pinocchio got eaten by a whale. So that's a bit of a worry. Maybe Penny will eat the whale. Who knows? Just bite little chunks off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be the second redhead to be eaten by Grimm.
Does it have a mouth?
Yes,
I mean, it just looked
like
it was one. It looked like it was kind of just one
teeth.
big mouth. But like it was the whole thing of it was teeth.
Was it though?
Yes, it was.
I'm pretty sure it had like a normal like whale mouth, but just with like jaggedy teeth instead of whale bristles or whatever they're called.
I don't know. It just looked like it was one big old mouth to me.
I have to go have a look. And yeah, bloody Richard. Who names these fucking things?
I know. Honestly, I was trying to think of a way to like, because I saw the fan talking about it, and the only name I could come up with was Monty, and I was like, we shouldn't do that.
No, we shouldn't.
Because I was trying to come up with some name off of Monstro, because that was the name of the whale in Pinocchio. And so I was like, Monty, no.
Monroe.
Montgomery.
No, Richard. Ugh. It's as bad as Kevin. The
so we have
is
Lenny.
So unoriginal when it comes to naming Grimm.
So we have Kevin. We have Lenny. We have Terry, and we have Richard.
Who the fuck is Terry?
They were the pterodactyls.
Oh, why are they named?
The terrorists.
That's not even a giant Grimm. That's just larger Grimm.
Oh, Zhao Long and Senny came up with
Richard.
I thought it was Thomas that came up with Richard.
I don't know. I saw a lot of people say Richard, and then apparently that was it.
Yeah, I know. It's just it became gospel too quickly.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to wrap this shit up. It's been nearly 4 hours.
We've been going for 4. We haven't. Oh no.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, it's been
3:43.
I forgot we started a little late.
Yeah, just a little bit. So thank you guys so much for watching the Boopcast all volume. I'm sorry they're so behind on YouTube. I'm going to try and get them all up this week because next weekend on the Sunday when we would normally have an episode, so normal 9 a.m. time.
You mean Saturday?
Yes, on Saturday at 9 a.m.
Okay, I was.
When we would normally do a Boopcast is what I'm trying to say. Saturday at 9 a.m. We will be doing a special volume wrap-up Boopcast with Larissa and Tyson, and we're all going to play Grim Eclipse together and talk about Volume 7.
Yeah, we're doing what we did last year.
Yeah.
For it, and it'll be interesting. I'm excited. We get very distracted though with the game, and we like just end up being like Ursa, and then we go like, okay, so like Cinder though. It's like, yeah, well, she was like really bad, and then Ursa! Like.
So yeah, we'll play Horde mode on Grim Eclipse, and we'll have a team of 4 this time, which will be helpful rather than having 3.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep playing Horde mode until we're done talking about the volume, essentially. But yeah, I expect chaos, so look forward to that next weekend. We'll have, we'll have the same layout that we had last time and everything like that. So we'll have everybody on screen and have the game up from only my perspective because it's too difficult to have 4 different people's fucking the logistics are a nightmare. So you'll only be able to see my perspective of the game, but you'll be able to see all 4 of us on screen. So yeah, so that will be fun. Look forward to that next week. But aside from that, that will be the last scheduled Boopcast for Volume 7. I don't know about off-season. We might do one if we feel like there's enough information to do one.
Yeah.
But I doubt it. Because we didn't last year.
we always say we're going to do one. But who knows? Maybe this will be the year we do one for the soundtrack.
Oh, shit. Yeah, we should probably do one for the soundtrack.
We always say that, though. So I'm like, maybe this will be the year.
We didn't last year. We will try to do one this year. Also, I'm going to do a reaction to the soundtrack with Larissa again for Volume 7 soundtrack. So we're going to do that once that does come out. So that'll be around June, July-ish. But yeah, aside from that, next week will be our last Boopcast for some time. So, yeah, we will do the Grim Eclipse and talk about the Volume 7. And, yeah, it'll be fun. So make sure to tune into that. If you're watching on YouTube, twitch.tv/she_noob to watch that live stream will be 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday, which is 4 p.m. Friday Central.
Yes.
So, yeah, tune into that and it'll be fun. And other than that, we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Wait, is the Corner of Remnants still live?
Nope, they just went off. They just... Oh, wait, nope, they are there. Hold on, let me see.
I think they're still live because we should raid them if they are. They're still live.
No,
okay.
Nope, they're wrapping up. I see them saying... Someone said in their chat, see you next time. They're about to wrap up.
Motherfuckers! Okay. Well... Fine. We're not going to go raid those bitches then. But yeah, we'll be back next week. Bye, everybody!
Bye-bye.